Good God.
Oh, grease.
It's a miracle I am still alive. But those days are behind me now. Now, for fun, to get my kicks, I kill players, their dreams, aspirations. I throw them in the dumpster during medieval adventures. Are we all here?
We are.
Yep.
He's a
Liar.
prom night.
Connor's plotting to kill me with house dust.
With house dust?
House dust. You
Cunning
move his
tactic.
computer and there's like
Like a dust
an
from house.
entire farm of dust bunnies under it.
you get to Connor's
Relax.
place and it's like a fucking the dusty rectum of some 1,000-year-old mummy.
Ugh.
What is going on here? Alright, well, we're
So
all
clean,
here,
well
and I think that we will start right now. Let me see here. Perfect. With that. Welcome back, everybody, to another game of Skyfall 5e. How was the week? How's everybody doing?
Super good, man.
Super
Beautiful.
good. Hell yeah.
Too bad.
Okay,
It was alright.
You fucking quiet cynics in the back there, I see. Passing notes. You got something you want to share with the class there? Fucking Scottish people.
What?
It's gonna
Nothing.
become a thing.
YouTube, Twitch probably cares about anti-Semitism and other race-based stuff, but what about shitting on the Scottish? Is that...
I think we're good.
I think we get a free
That's
pass.
how they
on
normally talk, though, right?
Yeah, and Irish people and stuff, like that was, you know, that's okay now. I think that's fashionable.
Everything they say to each other is derogatory to begin with.
Anyway, right?
I think we're
Diddly-dee potato.
Twiddly-dee potato. I picture Conan when you say that.
Why?
I don't know! Anyway, we're all good to go here, so we're gonna pick up right where you guys left off. You had been trapped in a temple which was filled with undead, some mysteries, and a few important plot points for multiple people here, but mainly Tidge, who got to see essentially a piece of history related to his current patron god, god quotation marks. And you guys were soon trapped in the temple, but after some time, rocks over towards the entranceway were gradually excavated, and some priests pulled you guys out and brought you into the beautiful morning air. You have all been removed from the tomb here, and are now residing kind of on the outside, and you can see the full extent of the destruction in the area. It seems that the landslide was much more substantial than you could have imagined, and the entire mountain face is just has just been well, defaced, for lack of a better word, by all these rocks tumbling down the mountain and cascading along the way, smashing both stairs and wildlife in their path. However, it seems that the priests have managed to make it up these broken steps, and there's a group of about half a dozen there that are helping you guys out, and they quickly heal whatever wounds you may have, though I think you guys got a long rest, so you're probably all topped up. What do you guys want to do?
Do these priests, like, are they just kind of like random priests, or do they look, like, would I recognize what sort of robes or things that they're wearing?
Ah, yes, so if I'm not mistaken, last session, right before we ended, somebody asked what priests they were, and I said they were priests of Salon. And as you're brought out into the
that's
light
right.
here, you can see on their clothing that they're not just wearing priestly robes. Most of their clothes carry like a traveler's clothes sort of vibe, with, you know, different leather straps and things like that. And you can see nearby that a couple of them have put down their backpacks so that they might excavate this area here. But their holy symbols are easily seen on display, and all of them have them. They're the symbol of Salon there in clear sight.
Do I recognize any of them from Elos?
Oh. Go ahead and roll luck. You'll have to roll like an 18 or higher, but you might know somebody.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
You don't want to waste Welfare Wednesday for this one. That's for a big roll.
I'm giving the AIDS a try.
It's
11.
11? Okay. Yeah, you don't recognize any of them. Some of them have very weathered faces. Others look like they could be recent additions to the order. They're a pretty motley crew, actually.
Are they all male?
Let's see here. Yes, they're all male.
Brothers, thank you for the rescue. We appreciate it.
No problem. We heard rumors back in town that some adventurers were on an expedition into the Temple of Despair. We made our way over here as fast as we could once we had heard.
Temple of Despair no longer. We've purged whatever evil was in here.
Yes. The one you're talking to there, he seems to be a bit of an older gentleman, maybe in his his mid-40s. He puts a hand onto one of the stones there and kind of looks at the entranceway, which has been just kind of demolished, and the mountainside and all the land that's been just destroyed underneath as well.
What prompted you to follow us?
Like I said, we didn't follow you. We heard that there was a group going into the temple. We thought we'd come by and either intercept or help out if we could. This temple's claimed many lives before.
Well, won't claim anymore. It no longer exists, as my ally here has told you.
Yes, it doesn't look too good. I imagine that the inside isn't much better than the outside here.
I don't believe there's any inside left to it. Have you heard at all of any other individuals entering this area?
Yes,
This
yes, of
temple?
course. You're not the first group. This whole valley here, and he kind of turns and holds out an arm, and you guys can see from your point here on the mountain, where you're up in this raised area, right? There's a huge mountain over here and another one over here. You know, a river runs through it, roads off in the distance, that kind of thing. It's quite picturesque. He motions to the different hills and says, you know, there's many holy sites throughout this place. Attracts pilgrims and, expeditionary groups like yourself. Seen multiple headed here and never found them again.
How familiar are you with these holy sites?
Well, we know of a few. There are some that I'm sure we are unaware of, but there's at least 24 different holy sites here. Some of them being proper temples like this with rooms in the rock, and others just being kind of shrines left out.
Would you by chance know if there are any that were dedicated to the High Librarian, as this one once was?
Oh, roll a luck check, please.
You got it.
Roll the AIDS.
Oh, shit!
How does that sound?
Well, that's what you had to roll.
Damn.
Oh, I stole it.
When you say this, he is actually taken aback, visibly. It's like when you say something to somebody that's so shocking that they don't really have time almost to compensate for it, and their emotion immediately flashes on their face, and he goes, "The librarian, yes. Well," he kind of turns and looks towards the opening here, the temple there, and he says, "That's the last of it. Most people don't know about the librarian."
That's about what I gathered while inside.
I don't have all the records, but this temple, from what reading I've done, has been called the Temple of Despair for many generations. Most people have completely forgotten its original use.
Well, whoever was inside there did a very good job of making sure that illusion was maintained.
Are you at all hungry? It's early morning. We haven't eaten just yet. Perhaps we should set up camp and talk this over. I'd be very interested to find out what you know.
That sounds fine to me. You guys?
Food? I'll give like a little, the frowny approval type of thing.
Okay.
Sounds alright to me.
The priest kind of, taking your reactions there, and the one that's been speaking over here with Tidge turns and makes a hand motion, and they start to unpack. And up here on this landing, kind of like some sort of beautiful nature's balcony, they start to set up, making a tiny little fire there, and pulling out a pot to boil some water, and they start up a camp. The day is quite nice. It's a beautiful day with the sun making its way over one of the nearby mountains, and the beams of light, though quite strong, are kind of mitigated by a very cool breeze that drifts through the area. And while you guys are seated there, most of the priests kind of tend to their duties. They seem to be sort of quiet. If one of you guys wants to talk to them or do something, let me know. But otherwise, this one will continue talking to you, Tidge. And he says, I have, like I said, heard of groups going into the Temple of Despair, but I've never seen anybody who's come out and survived. I'm curious what's in there. Like I said, I knew it was originally a temple to the librarian, some sort of godly figure from long ago, but I don't actually know what's inside.
Well, unfortunately, there's nothing left now. Partially helped by the landslide that walled us in, but mostly from the great evil that's been given it its new moniker.
Great evil?
There was some sort of necromantic presence in there.
It ate
You-
all the books.
Yeah, yes, it used to be a library, a great one from the looks of it, but it's since been all burned.
I'll walk
Son.
forward and I'll unravel the little parchment and show the symbol from one of those skulls.
You're showing it to the one that's talking here?
Yep.
Okay. He takes a look at it, and I'd like you to make a luck roll, please. Okay.
10.
That's better. We can't give all the stuff to you guys. You should have seen Tuesday Group. It was just 20s and 1s repeatedly.
We had a game like that.
Yeah.
He shakes his head, and he says, I don't know. It doesn't look like any alphabet I've seen before. You see that inside the ruins?
It was inside the skulls of the animated dead.
Strange.
Would I know as a paladin if necromancers use this kind of magic to like claim the soul of a body, or is that super uncommon?
Oh. You would know absolutely that necromancers can manipulate the dead, raise them as their servants, things like that. The idea of a mark being left behind, though, that's odd.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
generally, they exist until they're either killed by radiant light or till the spell expires, but they just look like a corpse the same way as they normally do.
So I would also be thinking to myself then, how were these bodies sustained for so long, if not through spells?
That's a good point, yeah. So you would know that most necromancy has a timer on it, right? And there are forms that don't use that, but they're incredibly powerful. And they'll usually require that the person who raised them be within proximity or maintaining concentration or something like that, right?
Okay.
And you guys only saw the undead there for quite a while, so who knows?
Okay.
Did I I said that I took off the robe that I had worn before, but I didn't say I kept it, but I also didn't say I discarded it. Would I still possibly have it?
Sure, roll a luck check, we'll see if you do.
Oh shit, I still have it on.
Okay, so you've got one. 11 or higher and you'll have a copy.
Okay, 16.
So you have one as well.
Great. I'll put tattered robe.
Symbols in the undead. Well, me and my friends here, being priests of Salon, have spent a good deal of time crusading against the undead. We met some there. Something bad must have happened to their souls for them to be like that. Or there's a necromancer in our midst.
The good news there is whatever stamp was on their souls didn't claim them completely. There was an internal struggle that I saw in them, and I was able to see, although my companions apparently didn't have the eye for it, that their souls were left untainted.
A different priest turns to you and says, "You're a godly man."
In a manner of speaking, yeah.
The main one turns to you and he says, "Well, that's good. They would have had to be very strong-willed to maintain that over such a long period, but at least they're at rest now, if that's the case."
And I nod solemnly.
Great business.
When the boss guy, the necromancer, whatever he was, had said that his master, whatever he said about his master, did he say that in infernal, or had he said it in like common?
It was what?
Yeah, I've got
Infernal
it here.
Or was it deep speech?
It might have been Abyssal.
Abyssal. Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Yeah, hold on a second here. It was...
One of the
It
other.
probably didn't speak common, right?
God dang.
It was abyssal because we made fun
Yeah.
of it. We're like, yeah, I wonder how that sounds.
It was... I remember it was Abyssal because only Kalec had that language, and then some
Yeah.
other people here have Infernal.
Yeah. Okay. So then my next question would be, would you have told us everything it said?
Yeah, over the
Okay.
night, I would have
Alright.
recalled.
All right, good. That leads me into my next thing. Yes, as Edgar said, the evil here is no more, as far as we can tell. But it was only a lackey. He said something about his master.
He?
I mean, it appeared as though it was a he.
I mean, you found something in there that spoke to you. The undead weren't just mindless skeletons and zombies?
There was a great power that I would assume, anyways. I mean, that's all I've got to work on. I'm not greatly familiar with the undead and the necromancers.
Tidge, they have reason for concern. Something like that can speak and be sentient is very rare in this form of magic.
You see the priest nod. But it said something about a master.
I didn't understand it. All I can tell you is what I've heard from, or what Calyx told me.
I'll step forward once again and I'll say, alright, it said something about that the great librarian was dead and that his master was the one who killed him. More or less.
You see that the priest seems to be thinking.
I'm gonna kind of, in a moment of small inspiration, I'm gonna try to subtly take out my book that's on my hip and start jotting things down in it.
Sure. The
On your hip or on your head?
On my hip.
Oh,
The priest continues and he says, this temple has been known as the Temple of Despair for a long time. We're talking hundreds of years. If this thing indeed started its corruption back then, it must be quite old. It probably would have taken time as well for people to pick up the new name and everything.
I'll look to the older priest and say, I think that's true. Although the librarian himself even seemed to forget the nature of his temple. We had to inform him of its fate.
Something's
Here,
not
did
right
we-
here. This isn't plain necromancy. That much is certain. There's something else going on.
And I kind of give out a hopeless chuckle, like, I don't think petty magic can fell a god.
Certainly not, brother. Certainly not.
And I'll look back down to my book and just keep writing.
Well, I must inform you that we're doing rounds in this area and will be eventually traveling back to back to Ilos. If you wish, you can come with us. Maybe talk more along the way. Our main reason for coming out here was just to make sure that you were alright.
It's a good
I'll,
thing
I'll,
to.
yeah, I'll nod and look to the rest of the group, unsure of what they want to do, but I'll say, I must return. I'll come with you, if you'll have me.
Of course, it's much better to travel with friends.
Especially with HyperX beasts roaming about.
We've seen signs of them, though no actual sightings, thankfully. Did you run into any on the way out here?
We saw one a while back.
It was a creepy son of a bitch.
That's for sure.
They're not exactly the friendliest.
No, they're not. You must
No
be
pack,
used to them here in the
fortunately.
mountains. And he kind of looks at you, Arillo.
What do you ask? My Discord's like messing up. It's all choppy.
Oh, he said you must be used to those here in the mountains.
I've seen a couple, give or take, but
Luckily, they
None
don't
that
wander
I've-
into town for us.
fucking Discord.
You didn't fix it in the whole week?
Oh, it didn't let me. Like, I don't know what it is.
I did change the server, by the way, Table Talk. I swapped the Discord server locations, so hopefully that helps some people, because I know we were having trouble with that.
My voice connection is fine. I don't know what it's doing, but it's like, it gets all like robotic, and then it like goes away for a little bit, and then it comes back.
Strange. Sounds like interference from another device. But we'll run with it
Could
for
be.
now. You should definitely test it, though, to try and iron it out.
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, because I did that during the week, but I couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'll run some ideas, but you guys probably know better. But okay, what do you say? 'Cause
Oh, it's all good. You tell him that you've seen a couple in the area, and he nods. And it kind of looks off to the distance. You see his eyes go veering towards the creek, and he says, "The dwarves, they're smart to stay over there in their holes underground, not having to deal with those things. But we have the numbers. A group like this, nearly a dozen, I'm sure we'll be fine."
Well, we're at a bit of a standstill, so I'd say that our best bet is to head back to Ilos.
yes,
You still have food, I hope.
yes, we do.
Okay. Well, let's make haste then. I'd rather not spend too much time in the wilderness. It's good to know that you guys have made it.
It's good that you happened upon us.
Okay. With that, I would like somebody to make a luck roll for the journey back.
I'll do it.
Yeah, it's not going to be me.
Oh my god,
Good.
what are you doing over there?
We teleport.
Smoke weed every day.
You
Fuck
find that
Joey.
amazing lake.
You cast Summon Private Jet. Okay, the travel back to town is pretty quick. And you get back there in about 4 days' time. The priests move along with you all, and down towards the valley. They take you along their own route, which seems to be fairly similar to yours, with only mild alterations. They tend to avoid the creek for whatever reason, and they also avoid the Red Watchman with a much wider radius than you guys did. And they eventually make their way to the same pass, however, and use that to get back into Ilos. And after these 4 days of travel, you guys comfortably make it back into town. And stepping up towards the temples, the priests turn to you all, and the leader steps forward and he says, "Well, I'm glad that this worked out as well as it did. You've learned much, and I'll keep the info that you handed to me as well. If you ever need anything, the faithful of Salon are always willing to crusade against evil."
Well, that's certainly helpful. Could you actually tell me, is there anyone in the city that may know anything about the High Librarian, or somewhere where I might be able to get some information?
I've seen reference to him in a couple of tomes. Admittedly, none from here. I used to live in Soulsland. Their library is very extensive. That's where I found the readings. So I'm sure those old archives are still present.
Well, perhaps that'll be the next leg of our journey.
There is, however, a temple to Aurex here, and his faithful like to keep tomes and the like around, so they might have something.
Arix. I'd be familiar with this one, right?
Yes, he is the god of essentially study and magic and studiousness. And,
That's my god.
yeah. So he would you would definitely know that almost all of his holy places are right alongside like collections of books, and you usually find like little trinkets or little figurines of Aurex kind of placed on bookshelves and things like that as a good luck charm.
Did you say that was here in Ilos? Or that was
Mhm.
in Soulsland? Okay.
Yeah, he tells you that there's a temple here to every god. I'm sure that the holy place of Aurex would be no different from the others. They probably have some tomes. They might have something on the Great Librarian.
Well, any little bit'll help. So, well, thank you. I don't know if we'd have made it out without your help.
If you need anything, well, me and my group, we do a lot of moving around, but I'm sometimes here at the temple. You can come and fetch me anytime. Name is Storia. And he kind of holds out a hand to you.
Oh, I'll shake it. My name is Tidge Brindlestock.
A pleasure.
I'll hold out a hand as well and present it. Edgar Lyle. Pleasure.
Edgar, it's good traveling with you. I wish you all
As
luck.
good as-
There's something going on here. If I find anything else, I'll... well, do you live in town?
I do not. I'm a bit of a wanderer.
Hmm.
But
You
Oh,
folks
you
do
do.
sort of have that look about you. Well, if our paths cross again, maybe I'll have more info for you.
that would be great.
He gives you like a deep bow, and all the priests bow in unison, and when he kind of finishes his bow, he says, blessings of Salon upon you all, kind of holds out a hand, and then steps away and goes off.
Well, I'm gonna have to go find Gem, and I'll need to swing by my temple. So, do we want to meet up somewhere?
Sure. How about why don't we just meet up at the tavern? Or the inn where we first started?
I'll just kind of give a nod, like, all right, and I'll start walking off.
Okay. You leave the group, and you're headed for where exactly, Edgar?
It'd be wherever I was, kind of, being a recluse, and I'm assuming it's some kind of temple of Metri.
Ah, okay. So at a shrine to Metri, I would say, in a cave nearby, you head over there. There is a temple, which is close if you wanted to speak with other faithful. But otherwise, you've been using kind of this because you've been looking for more of a solitary thing. So you kind of head in that direction.
Okay. Oh, are we doing me, or are we going?
Well, it doesn't seem anybody else is too jumpy. What are you guys up to?
I mean, well, I'd like to go to the Temple of Aurex because that seems like the best lead. At least the easiest right now.
If he was curious about RX, I would take him there in a heartbeat.
Okay. So split into two. Group goes for RX, and Edgar here goes to check out some old shrine stuff.
I mean, if Edgar's going alone, I don't know if Andy'd be willing to part with Kalik, but he seems like he's going to do churchy things. If if he wanted, Annie would join Edgar.
Okay. Well, that's up to you to talk to him, if that's the case.
Oh, right. Right, Edgar. Would you like some company?
Not really.
Find this solitary shite.
I'm not going to be gone for more than 15, 20 minutes, but you can tag along if you want.
No, you seem to have it all covered. According to you, you don't need any company.
I'm already walking away. Yep.
Yeah, I'll go with Kalik then.
Okay. So the group heads off, and you guys go towards a temple of Aurex. And the temples of the area here are of different design. It's clear that it wasn't the same creator that made all of these. And the one for Aurex is it's very simple, but it's quite tall, and has a set of sort of like regal columns outside to it. And the doors, as you would imagine, given that it's like the middle of the day, are wide open for you guys to step inside if you wish. You can see a few people kind of pacing about here and there. There we go. Now you guys are looking for the books immediately, I imagine.
I would be kind of letting Kalik take the reins here, anyways, just because seems to know a bunch about it.
Okay.
Or he's quite familiar with RX.
I would imagine I've been here quite a bit.
Sure. Yeah, you've probably been here a good number of times. You know exactly the way that the place is laid out, and you obviously don't know every book that's in its confines, but you know where the major sections are. And it takes you very little time, actually, to make your way past, like, the hall where the altar is, and people kind of bow to you and everything, to kind of pass by that and get to where all the books are. Now, when you get there, there's a mild problem, which is where to start. What kind of categories would you be looking for once you get to all of these books?
To be honest, I've got a few interests. Obviously, I'd like to learn as much as I can about the librarian, but I've also got I'd like to see if we can find anything on that symbol, and perhaps see if we can figure anything out about these robes. See if they're connected to the librarian, or if they're more associated with the whatever that evil presence was. I'm inclined to believe that they're tied to the librarian because they were in a wardrobe in his temple, but as he said, it's been the Temple of Despair for a while. So, the librarian's my highest priority, though.
Okay. So how would you narrow this down? Like, are you going, are you looking at historical figures? Are you looking at, like, the known gods? Are you looking at, history by region? Kind of give me something that you would use to narrow it down.
Let's see, so...
I'd say Kalik could probably point you to that pretty easy, but you're definitely going to need, like, a starting point for how you want to start an investigation. And, of course, if any of you other guys have thoughts on that, do share. You're all standing there in front of tons of books and everything.
I could help, but it'd probably be a little bit easier if I looked for the picture, because I'm not very good at reading.
Oh no. You see there's like a look from somebody over there across the table, like who's kind of studying in the corner, and he just kind of looks at your group and then turns back to his book.
I think I'd start at with the known gods.
Known gods?
Perhaps look for the lesser deities. No offense.
No, that makes sense. I mean, he's not, as I understand it, he's not necessarily a god, so much as just a celestial being.
So you pick a good category and go looking. And I would like a roll from you there, please, Kalik, given that you would know this place best. And I'll give you advantage on this. Oh, which it looks like you might need. I'd say investigation to find the right book.
Okay.
Oh!
What? I'm so sorry. Investigation is... That's 13.
13. Okay. So you go tumbling around and look through books of lesser deities, and... Let's see here. Okay. You find mention of the Great Librarian, but not info on the Great Librarian. There's a paragraph into one of these books that talks about lesser deities during the time, and this book is not terribly old. It's somewhat current. Maybe it dates back maybe like a couple hundred years, and it lists him as being one that exists at the time, and that's it. There's no bio or anything like that. So it's clear that people have kind of like known of him and heard of him, but there doesn't seem to be much info on him.
Bit of a reclusive fellow,
Sorry,
it seems.
Kate.
That's okay. I think my best bet is to try and see if I can contact him anyways. He usually appears whenever he wishes. I don't know, what do you think about maybe trying to see if we can figure out what's going on with this symbol?
Could I, during this time that they're perusing books, because, you know, they don't really interest me, can I go and talk to, like, the librarian or something?
Sure. In a sense, all of these people are librarians, and the dress that they wear doesn't seem to be different. They all have the same set of robes and seem to be engaged in either moving from one book to the other or sitting down and studying. The only exception to these two being that the ones in the main hall seem to address visitors who are entering and sometimes talk to them. So it depends on who you want to go and bump into.
Everyone that I can.
Okay, so with this first one here, there's a guy nearby, the one that had looked at you up from his book when you mentioned that you prefer pictures. And he notes your approach. He's writing on a piece of paper, and as you get a few steps within his sort of radius here, you notice that his quill stops. What do you want to do?
I'm sorry to bother you, but I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the symbol, if you know. If you don't, then I'll just move on to the next person, but any knowledge would help.
He kind of turns and looks over and he goes, "Alright, what is it?"
So,
You show him the page?
I mean, I don't think Kalik would have given me the page, but I could, like, you know, sketch it for him.
Where do you sketch it?
Well, I mean, I could ask if I could sketch it for him, but I wouldn't just take his quill and, like, draw on his shit, right?
Okay. So he turns
I mean,
to
maybe
you.
she would, I don't know.
He turns to you expectantly, and he's looking for this symbol, and you're kind of empty-handed, so he just sort of looks at you for a moment, and he says, "Yes?"
Could I borrow your quill? And then I'll just draw it on my hand.
You can see noticeable hesitation, but he hands it over to you, and when you draw it on your hand there, he looks at it, and let me see here.
I mean, because you said that I could take a skill in tattooing, so I would assume that I'm okay at drawing stuff.
Oh yeah,
that correct?
You recreate this perfectly, and he looks at it, and then he shakes his head and he says, "Sorry, it's nothing I've ever seen."
Thank you for your time.
Of course.
And I'll hand the
Can
quill
I have
back
my
to him.
quilt? Thank you. Just goes back to writing. Now, as you go on your quest to interrupt everybody here on the symbol, I would like you to go ahead and make a luck check. But before that, actually, make a persuasion check to see if you get thrown out.
Oh, fuck. Persuasion.
Yep.
Alright.
Plus
Fuck.
7.
It's a 10.
You get a +7 to persuasion?
Yeah, she does.
Lord almighty. Okay. There's a couple of close calls with people who are, like, visibly grumpy, but ultimately, nothing like that, escalates. Go ahead and roll luck to see if any of them actually know.
Great.
After many interrogations, some actually pleasant and others just downright dreadful, you walk away finding that this symbol is incredibly just innocuous or unknown. Nobody seems to have any idea what it is.
Great, okay, so I'll find my party, which is probably still perusing books at this point. And I'll just exasperatedly, nobody knows what's going on in this fucking star! I've asked literally everybody in here, and nobody has any information whatsoever. Some of these people are very rude.
What are you asking about?
And I would show him the symbol on my hand. Right, this is the same, right? I didn't draw it wrong.
Did you draw it right?
Yeah, it looks perfect. This
I mean,
is
it
not
looks
good
right
news.
to me.
I don't know what the problem is. It's not on my end, it's on theirs.
Annie, please. I have a reputation to uphold here.
Get over it, Kaylee. They don't know anything anyway.
It's a bit disheartening, but I don't think it's gonna be that bad. I think I can suss it out, perhaps.
Now, while you guys have been over here, what categories would you use to try and find this symbol? This is a lot more troublesome than the librarian. Narrowing down a single little pictogram or whatever this might be could be a little bit tough. Where do you guys start? What do you guys go to?
So we know that it's demonic. No, yeah, it's demonic, right? Or is it?
Well, it's not written in any demonic language. Your
No, I
connections
mean
to
the,
demonology would basically be that that being used that
Yeah,
language.
that's mostly what I'm talking about. Like, that's the
Okay,
connection
yeah.
that I have.
So it definitely could have something to do with demons. Is that the first place to start?
I'll bring it up. What do you think? Do you think maybe we bury our noses in a couple of books about that?
Perhaps. Or...
Or perhaps something to do with necrom. I mean, it was inside
Yes.
of the skulls of
I would
animated dead.
I would lean more towards necromancy, to be honest.
Could it be some sort of like arcane rune, maybe?
Hmm.
That's what I'm thinking, to be honest.
Maybe that's where we go.
Perhaps you look at runes, and I'll look into. I don't believe we have a lot of information on
Okay. Well,
necromancy, to be
let's
honest.
start with
but
the runes here. Make your double investigation check to find the book.
Do it, you bitch.
Nice.
Big dick!
Roll again. If you get another 20, I'll just give you 1,000 gold.
Oh, you want me to roll?
Didn't you just roll?
Come on, you ignorant slut.
Oh, I'm so
Oh.
close! What the fuck? Okay, okay.
Don't you have plus 300 to investigation, though?
Which class gets the plus 200 to investigation? So, you make your way over through the books here, and start looking for old runes. And the writing for old runes is... well, it's tricky. Some of these are tomes that have to do with alphabets and languages that have come and gone through the ages. Some of them have to do with species that are poorly understood, like the Githyanki from the astral plane, for instance, that kind of thing. But as you continue to go through here and kind of run your finger along the spines of different texts, you eventually come to one that seems promising. And as you pull this out, you find that the book that you're looking in references the symbol. It takes a good deal of time, and I would say you guys are probably sitting here for, a couple of hours by the time that you go, like, and show the page over that has the symbol on it. And you see that this symbol is not detailed well here. Instead, there's a reference to it, and it tells you to go to another book, and says this symbol, which is included in a list of, like, unknown symbols, is further explained in a book, what's it called? Titled Marcane's Expeditions and Travels. And immediately after that, you go looking for this book, and you find what looks like a copy of it that's still here. And after traveling to a completely different section that has to do with archaeology, you eventually pull out this book and go to the page that's been mentioned here, and before long, you're staring at the thing with info on it. And somebody has actually taken the time to draw it where it was found, and you can see that it was originally picked up from a pillar, like a sort of monolithic looking thing that had this scribbled onto it, and some other symbols which looked too damaged to really have kind of survived through the passages of time. You learn that this picture here that's been recreated and the location of the symbol was found on an expedition down to a set of ruins known as... You guys are going to hate me. Where is it? There it is. Known as the Ruins of Woj. And the Ruins of Woj, for those of you who are wondering, you would find on the map after a minute, right here.
Damn.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
That's a long way away.
Is that WOJ?
Yeah, that's the one right there. The book continues on. A detailed explanation of the ruins kind of paints a story here of the expeditionary force that arrived here with a group of 30 men, and they left hastily on their boat, down about 12 of them. The ruins were inhabited by some kind of creatures, and they had to turn and run, but not before getting some details from the place. And where this was found, the current theory running with this, which was written by the expedition leader, was that this is actually a magical symbol for a spell that does not exist anymore. And it was found in a hall with other pillars that had spells written on them, kind of like a library. So this is like it's an arcane rune, like, you know, one of 4 letters kind of thing, or one of 5 letters that would be used in a spell. And you know that most spells have this kind of component to it, where you have to either say something or trace something out. That's what you're looking at here. It's an incomplete spell, or something used in multiple spells, perhaps. The writer continues to go on, and he details that through time, spells come and go, and this was likely some kind of spell that was used back during the time when Woj was a proper civilization, but has since fallen, and whatever this spell may have been has likely been lost to time. You know, even if they were to get back what the writing was, he writes that there's probably a somatic or maybe even a component part to the spell, and this is just one of life's mysteries that'll never be solved.
We'll clap Kalik on the back. Well, that was a great find.
Wouldn't have
So-
done it without you.
It's a lot more than I was expecting, to be honest, but wow. That was
But there-
incredible.
I don't think they'd part with this book, to be honest. Best, I'll jot down some notes if you'd like.
Yeah.
And I'll just start feverishly, like, copying notes onto a parchment.
For sure. So if you have any questions, if you need me to repeat some of that, just let me know.
Okay.
But yeah, essentially this whole book is just a tale of different expeditions, some perilous, some mundane, and all the weird things found. And that's the only place that this symbol seems to have popped up. This is at this dead civilization. Now,
Perhaps.
Mhm.
Perhaps in a bit we could look up some more information about this ruin of Woj, but for now, does Edgar seem to? Oh, he might be waiting for us in the.
Oh, that's true.
We've been here for a while.
We told him to meet at the tavern.
so it's
Oh,
been a
shit.
couple hours, so we're going to rewind back a little bit. And wandering
You
through...
straight up nerded out. What time is it?
Edgar, you're wandering through town, and as you do, you know, you see groups of priests kind of walk by and things like that. Off in the distance, there it is, your temple, when a familiar voice calls out, Edgar!
Chem, how are you?
He looks over and kind of coils up a scroll that he has in his hand, and it seems that he's just kind of wandering through town there, and looks over and he goes, Ah, pleasant seeing you here again. How have you been? You look well. A little bit tanned.
You know me, always out and about. Yeah, things are good, Jem. Things are good.
Perfect.
How are you?
I'm doing quite alright.
Okay. Well, as per your request, I'm gonna let you know that probably heading out of town soon. Not sure where.
Another expedition, perhaps.
That's the wrong word. I think a quest. And I kind of smile slyly, but I'm still kind of serious.
A quest. Reminds me of my old days and my boyhood.
Just like what I read about the Second Sons when I was a boy. It's a little bit of self-discovery, I guess.
Do you mind me asking what the purpose of this quest is?
I do, Jim.
Ah, secrets.
Oh, you can ask my father. You're so keen on reporting to him.
Oh.
I'm sure he'll be super eager to fill you in.
It's my job to report to him. What makes you think he knows anything? He gives you a smile, like a really big grin.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Between
Well,
you and me, Edgar, I don't report
Uh-huh.
everything to your father.
I never know whether or not to believe you, Jim, but I'll just take you at your word, I guess.
He leans back and he says, very well. A mystery, then.
Mystery.
I
Another
sense
mystery.
this is related to your previous expedition, however. I wouldn't be wrong in guessing that, would I?
I'll pause and then just give him a small smile. No, you wouldn't be wrong. Let's just say whatever I got accomplished, it highlighted a path that I need to follow.
Ah, plans within plans, as they say.
Sure, if that's what they say, whoever they are.
Well, as I had mentioned before, I do like to know where you are. Far be it from me to try and stop you from walking into peril, but I do need to at least report to your father where your corpse ends up, should that be the case. Do you know where it is that you're going?
I'm leaving that in the hands of someone else, but I'll find out by... What time is it today? Can I see just by the sun?
Yeah, I would say that it's probably like 9 or 10, a couple hours till noon.
Okay. How about you give me into 2, 3 o'clock? You can meet me at that tavern you like so much. I'll probably know then.
Ah, yes, no, I know exactly which one you're speaking of. Sure, I'll
I
see you
have
there
no
in a
doubt.
few.
Sure. All right.
He kind of leans forward and, puts a hand on your shoulder and goes, "It is good to see you again, Edgar. I'm glad you're well."
All right, Jim. I'll just kind of give him a little tap on the shoulder and keep walking away.
Goodbye. And he turns and heads off down the street.
And I'll keep walking towards my little secluded shrine of Metri here.
Sure. When you get there, you find that, like many of these shrines, which are dedicated to solitary study, that it's empty, and there isn't anybody currently using it. And this space is just free for you to kind of step into if you wish.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll step in, and going into my priest pack, what I would like to do is take out some candles.
Okay.
I just won, actually, and I'll pop my signet ring / holy symbol off here, and I'll try to melt some wax. And once there's enough of a puddle, I'll pour it onto... Actually, I'll rip a piece of paper out of the book that I was jotting things down on. I'll
Okay.
pour some wax. I'll fold the paper over. I'll pour some wax down like a seal, and then I'll stamp my ring into it with my sigil. And then I'll kind of slam that piece of paper down onto the altar.
Okay. I'd like you to make a wisdom check, please.
Sure. Give me that yellow chitlin. Wisdom. Where you at, sheet? Ah, you know what? I have my little reference card here. That'll be +2. That'll be 11.
Okay. You jotted a few things down on that piece of paper before putting it on the altar, yes?
Yeah, it's what I communicated
Okay.
to via Discord.
So, you place that down there, and are you intending to leave this or keep it with you?
I'm leaving it there.
Okay. You put this down on the altar, and though no divine presence fills your senses, something that you've come to detect with your many years as a paladin, you do feel a sense of almost like an ease, something being lifted off your shoulders. The path almost seems clearer.
good enough for me. And I'll walk towards the tavern.
Okay. You spend a good deal of time sitting at this tavern, and as you do, eventually the door opens and you don't see your companions stepping inside, but instead it's Jem who seems to have beaten you there, or beaten them there, rather. The afternoon has come, and it appears that whatever they're doing has definitely kind of consumed a lot of their time. It's also worth noting that the person who works the counter is no longer the same, of course, given that that position had to be filled during the time that Anna was gone.
Sure. I got, because I think it comes with noble, if I'm not mistaken.
Annie's.
I am proficient in dice. I'd
Ah.
want to see if maybe I could challenge Jen to a few games. I don't know what, maybe medieval Yahtzee or whatever the fuck.
A game of chance.
Why not? You seem to be so good at it. Could put some coin down too. Maybe you'll see a smile on my face for the first time in a while.
I am decent at playing games, but dice, not exactly my forte. Perhaps cards, or something else. Well, I'll play a game anyway.
I'll smile and be, why do you think I challenged you at dice, Jem? Alright, put some money down. We'll do a gold a game.
Very
Something
well.
nice and easy.
Go ahead and make a roll for your gaming proficiency here. And you can add to it, I'd say either intelligence or wisdom, maybe even charisma. It's up to you.
Okay.
One of the intelligence proficiencies.
So,
Or, sorry, mental ones.
right. So I'll add my charisma, maybe just trying to bluff him with
Sure.
my charm here, and my proficiency. So that's a 16.
Jem beats you
Fuck!
on the first round. And he goes, oh, look at that. And he kind of takes the gold and he says, beginner's luck, I'm sure. Did you want to play another?
I'll kind of throw a little sly persuasion his way and be like, well, I gotta make you feel like a winner before I take all your money, right?
Oh, this is getting good.
Yeah, I'll play another one.
Okay. Roll again.
Come on, bitch! Oh, baby. 17.
17. This time you beat Jem, though you note that it's a narrow victory, winning only by a single point. Jem looks at the table there, seeing the, the outcome written in the dice, and staring at them, he goes, ah, that's too bad. Almost had you, though.
Right. How about 5 gold for the next game?
It's at that point that the door flies open, and you see your party steps inside, and they look like they're late for something, and which is fair, because they've been gone for so long. Oh, your merry band of friends are here.
I'll look over my shoulder like I'm looking at the uncool kids, and look back to Jen and be like, I'll just nod, like, yep.
Do we notice him?
Yeah, you see him there. He's over at the table. They've got like a pair of cups and a bunch of dice kind of strewn over the table. You see some gold as well laying there.
Oh, so that's why he didn't want me to come with. He's meeting his babysitter.
You suppose he's embarrassed.
Do you say this loud enough that they could hear, or do you keep this hush-hush? Because you are at, like, the door and they're across the room.
I mean... probably loud enough so you could hear.
Probably loud enough?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'll give Jem a big grin and do a nod towards her, like, get a load of this girl, type of thing.
He looks over, and he says to you, not in a whisper, but in a low enough tone that there's no way they'd hear from across the room. He says, interesting companions you've brought with you, Edgar.
By all means, if you want to take a few off my hands, start with her.
No, I think I'll pass.
Your loss there, Jem, obviously.
He looks to you, and when you say that, he pulls out 5 gold and puts it on the table.
I'll give him a big grin and I'll put my 5 down.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
Let's do it, baby!
Oh, he rolled okay.
Woo!
Oh
My dick! Suck my dick!
no! Gem is close once again, but this time you take the game. And you have just pocketed, well, the first ones went to him, then one to you.
It's
so
all
nothing.
even, so I'm
You
just
just
up
got the 5. Yeah. So you pick up 5 of Gem's gold there. You guys see, well, how would you react to this, Edgar? Would you actually jump out of your chair like, woo?
No. I would do
Please!
Please!
Flip the table.
I would give him like a, ooh, tough luck type of thing, just to like bruise his ego a bit.
He stares down at the dice and he looks to you and he goes, well, like I said, Edgar, dice never really was my game. If you ever want to play cards, I am available.
You mean you don't want to play another for 10?
Your family pays me, but they don't pay me that well.
I guess you're just born into it. Just as a real, like, on-the-nose joke there for him.
Should I step away while you speak to your friends?
Yeah, go have a beer on... Actually, no, not on me. I just won your money. Go have a beer on you, and I'll let you know what the plan is.
I won't intrude, Edgar. He steps up, gives you a tap on the shoulder, and wanders over to the bar and sits there, and you see him order something. Are you guys going to go and join Edgar?
Best power token ever.
Yeah.
Okay. I got 5 gold out of it. Hell yeah! So far, totally worth.
If I just keep gambling them, eventually I'll be up 150, where a power token is actually worth.
I used my power token to get a friend, and then I swindled him out of all his money. Okay, so you guys step over and join Edgar there. He's, kind of just moving some dice over and putting them in his pocket. And it seems that he's got a little bit of some winnings there, some gold. His friend, who he was speaking with, you recognize as the one that you guys spoke with days back before leaving. And he is still in the tavern, though has stepped away from the table, perhaps as a courtesy thing, or maybe he's got business there, and it looks like he's getting a drink at the tavern.
Having a bit of fun there, are ya?
Had to spend these last, what feels like 8 hours doing something.
Oh, it wasn't that long. I feel like it flew by.
Probably, yeah. Did you guys find anything interesting?
Actually, we did. We didn't find a whole lot on the librarian, but we got a ton of information on that weird symbol that we found in the skull, that you found in the skulls.
Look, have a seat, guys.
Yeah, I'll sit.
Okay.
Actually, I would.
I'll just kind of lean over to Tidge and I'll look at what's his fucking name again? At Kalik as well. Like, look, what we did in there felt good, and I'll be honest with you. Unless there isn't another opportunity like that in the near future, I don't know if I can follow you guys wherever you go. But if the intention is to find another temple that might be corrupted, I'm in.
At this point, I'll take my parchment with all of my notes and I'll scoot them towards him across the table.
I'll start taking a look at them.
Sure.
Well,
Would any of this make sense to me while he's talking?
Yeah, it's pretty plainly written, and you see that though they haven't found much for the librarian, other than that there is record of him, they do seem to have picked up a bit of info on the symbol. And what he's written down here is that it has been seen over in a temple way down south, one that is reportedly perilous, and also that the symbol is likely involved in a spell.
I'll let out a kind of long whistle, like, couldn't choose anything nearby, could you?
oh, no way.
Fortunately not. Sorry.
No adventure worth going on is close. Despite the last one that was rather close.
Visions of the last 16 parties flash in front of your eyes.
It was only 14, let's take it easy.
I'm pretty sure it was 17.
But everybody only thinks it's one.
It goes up by 1 every time it's thought of.
Right. So
It's
I'll
only
look at him
37.
kind of like, the fuck? Like as soon as he says, well, except for the closest one. Right. Okay.
I mean, there's more adventuring, and in my future, anyways. I don't know if you guys are willing to tag along still.
Well, I don't know if it's a great idea to just head straight down there without any additional information. There's nothing
Well,
on the way that we can do, or are we just gonna kind of travel like vagabonds?
I haven't spoken to the librarian yet, so. But I mean,
Ooh. I would like a history check from you, please, Tidge, regardless of if you have proficiency. Though if you do have it, please let me know.
oh, I do.
Okay.
Not
Proficiency.
20! Not 20!
Not bad. History.
Oh, wow.
That would be a 22.
Okay. It occurs to you while you're sitting there, like, oh, you remember that one of the people, I think it was it Expedition 7 or 9, I don't remember, somebody who was with you there had mentioned Woj. They hadn't been there themselves, but they had decided not to go. And, as things are, when you're on an expedition, you kind of chit-chat to pass the time. You had learned from him a little bit about the place, or at least the rumors that surround it. And there's apparently a healthy amount of dinosaur activity in the area. Big ones. Carnivorous ones. And he decided to say no on those grounds and did not go along. Instead, electing to go with you on your expedition to, it was like a little shrine off in the desert, and, well, who could have predicted that he would have succumbed to the scorpion's poison so quickly, but,
Not everyone survives. I mean, there are casualties and everything.
So yeah, you remember that while sitting at the table. So you know a little bit about that place through proxy. How reliable it is, who knows, but you've heard stories.
There'd be dinosaurs there.
Yeah, so
Nature,
marching right into the
finds a
Woj
way.
would not be. Marching right into Woj would probably not be that great an idea, because, as I understand it, there's dinosaurs hanging out down in that area. Large, carnivorous ones.
Are dinosaurs a thing? Or does that sound completely ridiculous to me?
The rumor has it that dinosaurs have died out. People know of the time that big lizards wandered the earth, but it's assumed that they don't exist anymore. Sometimes somebody makes a report of a big lizard, and people just kind of go, uh-huh.
So, Edgar right now is seriously having doubts about following Tidge anywhere. Kind of like bordering on, yeah, and I got probed by aliens right up the butt. Dinosaurs, you say?
I mean, it's just rumors, but I've seen plenty of crazy crap in my history, so
What's a dinosaur?
it's like a big lizard. It's like, you ever seen a lizard?
I would not assume so. Would I have
Does a
seen
bit of
lizard?
drool fall out of your mouth?
No, I'm not retarded.
Have you seen a snake? A snake with legs, but like the size of a house.
All right,
Like,
that's a better
huge.
explanation.
I was getting there, but you just kind of stopped.
A
But
snake
yeah, essentially,
with legs. The size
snakes
of
with legs, like lizard birds. that can,
Annie
like,
is
fly.
imagining like people legs on a snake.
I'm looking at Annie shaking my head like, ignore all of this. Please, no.
So, believe me or not, I mean, that's up to you, but there is a fair bit of danger to be expected if we head down that way. Now, that's one option. Like I said, I haven't communed with the librarian yet, so we're all it's kind of banking on that, but this may not even be a connection at all.
There's always the Red Watchman. There was, I don't know, if we're looking for something to do.
Ooh.
Now, the last time I spoke to the librarian, he pretty much explicitly told me to stay away from there.
They never
Right,
got out
and
of
when we had
Draenor
12
Manor ever
people-
again.
We had 12 people, right? And they didn't even want to go near it. So
Yeah,
it must
that's
be
true.
pretty bad.
Look, I'm not looking to get killed, just looking to set out a roadmap of sorts if we're going to be actually heading down there.
The other option is to head off to Soulsland and see if we might be able to find some information on the librarian there.
Yeah, are there any bigger libraries or collections of books that haven't been burned to the ground?
Oof.
I shoot Annie a glare.
Sauvage. So
Big burns. Big burns.
Get that
yeah,
man some icy hot.
So Soulsland is not an option.
Oh no.
Why might that be? I've never heard anything bad about Soulsland.
There's a couple of libraries I'd like to visit there.
Yes, the
Well,
archives sound
Soulsland.
incredible.
You guys are welcome to go, and I'm gonna stay right here if that's the case.
Why are you such a Debbie Downer? You are the worst person for trying to get to go anywhere. You're so hormonal. You're like a woman.
First of all, I don't know who Debbie is. And second of all, I'm not being hormonal.
What are you then?
I've agreed to go to the initial location. I'm just
Mm.
saying we should develop a plan.
Would I know of any other like libraries or archives in other cities that might even be closer?
Okay. So almost every city has a collection of, works and things like that. There might be an exception here and there, but pretty much all of them have them. It's simply that Soulsland being the place where the upper echelon of human wizardry has coalesced. They have access to books and knowledge that far trumps every other city. That being said, the other cities, they have their own interests and things like that, and you'd be, in good hands looking through their libraries as well. The exceptions to that are Ilos doesn't have much for books. The only thing it's really got is what you guys have looked at, which is that temple, which isn't really like a proper archive. And Ko would not really be much for that kind of thing either. The other cities are almost guaranteed to have some decent archives. It's just that Soulsland is known to be the best.
Yeah, I'm from Aris Ren, so I would. What would be there?
Yeah, they have like an imperial library that's pretty impressive. They have a lot of stuff there.
Okay. All right. Well, this is all. I hate to beat a dead horse and everything, but once I spoken to the librarian and seen what he has to, where his opinions lie. If we're heading down to Woj, we could stop at some of the libraries and check out the Imperial Library at Aris Ren and see if they might have any information that I'm seeking, or that we're seeking, I guess.
I've got to ask, Tidge, what makes you think that you can speak to this librarian if we just saw him die?
He didn't just die. He told me that he's in a lineage, and the one that I spoke, how could you explain otherwise? The librarian that we spoke to in the temple, not knowing me when I've had numerous conversations with the one that I'm currently familiar with.
First of all, the only person that's had numerous conversations with a great librarian is you, so can't determine if you're crazy or not.
Well, I can assure you that I'm not crazy.
This great librarian. Well, okay, most people that are crazy say that. And I'm not trying to be a skeptic. I'm just saying.
No, I understand.
You're talking to an entity. We just saw that same entity die.
Yes.
So either the entity you're speaking to, part of an unknown lineage that even the priests of Solan were unfamiliar with, or you're not actually speaking to the entity you think you're speaking to.
At this point, you guys hear footsteps, and you notice that Annie's replacement is kind of wandering over towards your table here. She looks like a young lass who kind of steps up to you guys, and she has a tray that she's kind of holding close to her chest there, and she says, I know you and your friend weren't looking for anything, but do you folks need anything?
All have... what do you have to eat?
I think there's a stew on right now. Yes.
Awesome. Do you have any pastries or bread?
I think there's something sweet in the kitchen. You want me to get you some of that too?
Absolutely. And I'll step away and go to the washroom in-game and IRL.
Okay, we will take a brief 5-10 minute break, everybody. We'll be back in a moment.
Cool.
Didn't he get bread last time he was here?
Yeah, you gave him like a heel of bread.
Yeah.
You offered him, I think, the whole thing.
You just handed it to him like for free.
I'm the best.
Afterwards, they're probably like, where the fuck did all the bread go? Did she take that when she left on her last day? Just took the whole fucking loaf of bread.
That was supposed to serve the whole breakfast crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
Now what are we gonna do?
The fuck?
Oh my god.
We're all gonna go to Jedediah's Inn now.
Good riddance.
Oh, she's back. Kick her out. Oh my god.
Beautiful. Alright, get your drinks and stuff like that. I'm gonna put on a pot of coffee too. I'll be right back.
What if I decided I wanted to make potatoes? Just a... Nobody's here.
Am I the only one here now?
Nope.
No? Oh, cool. I was gonna ask you. It's possible, actually, that the shrines that you're looking for, Tidge has seen in one of his expeditions.
Oh, okay. You know, we're on a break right now.
I know. Doesn't mean I can't talk in my accent.
That's true.
It's easier to maintain it if I keep doing it.
Mine's just a deep voice that I gotta
know.
try and remember. But are we going to like the desert area or?
I don't know exactly where we're going. If we're going to Aris Ren, we're gonna have to cut through a desert.
Okay.
We'll end up cutting through Baccarat. So you may lead us out of the mountains and then into like Seba or Seba. Like stop there. And then make our way
And that's a desert.
to Aris Ren. Yeah. Well, Seba's a city in the desert.
Yeah, I see that.
I think we actually, back in the old campaign, were trying to make our way towards it.
Okay.
Back when we were trying to find the torch
Yeah.
or the shroud in the desert. Back as a little halfling druid. you hear me chomping on my pretzels? Or
Yeah,
is
but
it
it's kind of quiet.
moving
It's
my
not very
mic away?
noticeable.
Oh my god, that PE changed my life.
Nice.
That's the best.
Did it enlighten you?
Oh my god, in so many ways. Good pee speed shower. I mean, nothing going wrong with that. Gotta say, something that's weird is going from Carrick, who was kind of slinging jokes and always eager to go to the next thing, to this
Mhm.
guy, who's like not puritanical, but kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, just like I could go on an adventure, or I could survive.
Oh, is that your character's mentality?
Mine?
No, Tidge
No.
maybe, not mine.
No way.
I'm not.
No.
I'm not thinking of survival necessarily.
No way.
Mm.
Tidge
I
wants
don't mean
knowledge
to be
and
a,
adventure.
like a dick, but the way your character thinks makes no sense to mine.
Well, exactly.
I'm like,
and
yeah,
the way,
let's just do it.
and vice versa. Like seeing someone prance around in a somber tomb with a dress on and making jokes to Edgar would be like super offensive, right? So it's this kind of weird juxtaposition between two complete opposites. It's super fun to roleplay.
Oh my god.
Because Carrick was kind of your character in a way last campaign.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
less, maybe like a little more worldly, a little less naive, I guess. But oh, yeah. Oh my god, I still can't get over this pee, man. This is a new chapter in my life. This is post March 21st, 2018 P Jason. I've seen the face of God.
He's reached his peak.
We've now
I
turned the
haven't
page.
even begun to peak. Alright.
We've now turned the page into book 2.
Yep.
Hey buddy, you want your belly rubbed?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, disturbing. Alright?
Says the one that took the piss and it changed his life.
That's not disturbing. That's
That's
I
true.
should write a book about it. I could start a religion based off that piss.
George R.R. Martin beat you to it.
Did he really?
Not like a book, but he wrote basically a chapter on Tyrion when he's watching a wedding, and most of it's talking about how badly he has to piss.
I don't remember that, man. I read.
Did you read them all?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was at Joffrey's wedding.
Is he really talking about how much he needs to piss in that wedding?
I mean, it's not.
I've got to
it's
say,
not like the whole chapter, but it's like a
Yeah.
significant part of it.
dude, I'm not gonna say I skimmed because I read every chapter, but
Yeah.
some of it you just tune out completely.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so much there.
Well, that's the thing is like I like the story, but George R. R. Martin is a terrible writer. Like you could have done all however many books, 5 books now, going on 6 soon, I think.
Yeah,
You could have done them in probably half the pages.
probably. If you took out all the descriptions of food, you'd have half, well, 3/4 of a book.
For me, it's like no problem. Descriptions of food, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh no, I love the books no
But-
matter what, but
But you don't need 50 pages for one meal.
yeah, right.
Like better authors have done more with less, you know? Anyways. But that motherfucker drinks like 13 2-liters of cola every day, and he fucking writes like 30% of a novel, sends it to his most diehard fans. They tell him, George, your characters can't be here. They're over there like 4 pages ago. And he's like, oh yeah, that's true. And then he rewrites the whole fucking thing again. It's
Yeah, I think the 6th book was supposed to come out like 2 years ago.
Dance of Dragons was like that too. It took a really long time.
Yeah,
My buddy Alex started reading those when he was like 13, which was like 14 years ago.
Yeah, they've been
And-
around for a while.
And for him, like he's like, dude, you don't even know half of the wait and the pain between novels. Like,
Oh
you
yeah.
had to wait so long for each one.
Let's see.
Meanwhile, I basically finished the 4th book as soon as Dance of Dragons came out. I only had to
Yeah.
wait like 6 months before Dance of Dragons came out, and then I burned through that.
Yeah, they were all out when I picked it up because I've started watching. I think I started watching Game of Thrones when they were in their 2nd season,
Okay.
and I didn't get that far into the show because I picked up the books and wanted to read those before I got any spoilers.
That's really good.
But-
Another show I like a lot, and I read the book because of the show, was American Gods.
I've never heard of that, but I'll have to take a look.
Oh
at it.
yeah, it's an Amazon series actually, but super well done. And the whole premise is basically any god that has enough worship exists to a certain extent, even different iterations of the same god, and they
Mhm.
kind of coexist on the planet, and they also don't. So the story is, it's weird. It's kind of a road trip story, but at the same time not. I don't know. Without spoiling anything, that's just
Yeah.
where I'll go. But super. The book is really interesting.
Is it by Neil Gaiman?
Yeah, that's right.
Just Googled it. Oh,
Yeah.
look at that! Like $7 or $15 for the hardcover.
Dude, just oh my god. Once I got my Kobo, I just look for Neil Gaiman, American Gods, find the EPUB file, throw that shit onto my
Oh yeah.
my Kobo. I used to be hardcore for paperbacks, but I don't know, man. The liquid e-paper on the Kobo is fucking solid, and being able to get a backlight for night reading, it's changed the game, man.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, I have a Kindle, but I mean, it's old as hell and it's dying. But
As long as it doesn't have the LED screen, you know? If it's
Yeah.
liquid paper, then it's just as good. Although, I hear the Kindle, it's harder to throw on EPUB files. Like, it's a different kind of file that's harder to
yeah, they
pirate.
have their own like sort of thing. It seems.
It's kind of like the difference between Android and iPhone, I guess. Kindle
Yeah.
is the iPhone where you have to go through iTunes, and it's kind of all fucky.
Yeah, like Kindle's its own, or it's an Android-based thing, but it's like almost like its own Android. Like Amazon just
Mhm.
tried to make it its own. So,
Yeah.
but
I am back.
Welcome back.
I already
Mercy.
know.
Mercy.
Whew.
Oh, the Lord Jesus.
Coffee.
Okay. Oh my god. There we go. All right. Are we good to start back up?
I'm
Yes,
good.
sir.
yep.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. The break is done. The barmaid turns and heads back over and goes to grab some food. And if you want, you can subtract the, I would say, maybe 5 copper pieces for the meal.
What was me?
What was me? You just won 5, motherfucker.
How much would an ale
I
be?
just won 5 gold.
Swindled off of an innocent man.
Fuck that.
You
John
don't-
I
has
guess
a
I
dark
could just convert
secret.
Jem's innocence is definitely in question, it seems. The group has their theories. She brings this back. You guys see that, Edgar's got like a nice steaming plate of food and what looks like a little pastry beside it, there on a little side plate.
I'd have ordered a stew and a mug of ale
Sure.
before she run away.
I'll look at the food and I'll look at Annie. And I'll look at the food and I'll look at Annie.
Oh, you think I'm going to feed you?
That was the agreement for this adventure. I'll just shite.
Right. Okay.
Are you gonna pay the money to get Calyx some food, Annie?
Yeah, I guess I have to.
If anyone gets
I'll
food,
go-
they can go ahead and subtract the 5 copper.
I'll kind of elbow
I'll get, like-
Aurilla next to me and whisper, and she calls me the hormonal one.
Ha 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 ha.
Best Goliath laugh ever. Oh, 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 oh.
Just so amused.
It was a singer, to be
I
fair.
love it.
These are
I,
Drax.
I'm going to order
7 bowls of stew.
a whole mule.
A whole mule.
Yeah. If they have that.
They don't really eat mule here.
She seems
Do you have any?
like a little bit not put off, but like she's thinking for a second there, she's processing, and then she goes, I'm sorry, sir, we don't serve any mule here.
Do you serve any type of meat in
There's
large proportion?
like a hen.
Put up
I'll
my
take-
hand and put, do like the 2. Like, I'll put 2 fingers up, like, maybe 2 hens. I'll be looking at Aurilla as, like,
That
just a
sounds about right.
suggestion.
That sounds good to me. Thank you.
Okay.
2 heads.
She kind of turns.
I kind of chuckled to myself because it's such a bizarre request.
She like disappears into the kitchen. There's like a muffled what?
I don't know. He just said two hens.
You can go ahead and subtract. I'd say that's probably gonna cost you a few gold there. Let's roll luck for you. Food here isn't very plentiful. 5 gold, please, from you there, Aurilla.
Alright.
That's one expensive meal.
It takes a while, but you will get your food. Are you guys chit-chatting before it shows up?
Yeah.
Yeah. 19 gold.
I'll take like a piece of parchment from my bag and put it next to the map and crudely draw. Let me just see the name of this here. I'll draw Elos. I'll draw Oris Ren and like the coast on the right hand side here, all the way down to where the ruins of war. Then just kind of try to jot any points of interest. Do we have the same map that's here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I-
so
Yeah,
I'll
this
be
is like
marking,
the world standard map. Unless you purposefully get something different, everyone's going to be using this.
So I'll be marking like Dio's Outpost, Fort Lawn, Fort Shen, and maybe the names of the forts also.
Okay.
Cactus Woods and whatnot.
I want to purposely move around the table to sit next to him, to sit next to Edgar, and I want to like peer over his shoulder. All right, plan man. What have you come up with?
More of the drawing man right now. No plan. Just I know Tidge mentioned Oris Ren. I think that's a good idea. It's far from Soulsland. And it's in the right direction, which I like. We'll probably have to stop, and I'll show her. I'll see that she's interested, and I'll just try to be the cooperative one here. We'll probably have to stop at Seba for food and water, because we don't want to cross a desert. And then we're gonna go to Oris Ren, and maybe work our way down through the coast. We might even be able to secure a ship from Oris Ren. Could be safer to just drop us right at the northern edge of ruins, if we wanted to do that as well.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to pay him a compliment, but not really a compliment, and I would like to say, "All right, you're almost as smart as Kalik."
Ooh, just give Kalik visibly is.
Just raise an eyebrow.
I'll thank you.
I like your ship idea, but the desert has may have something that I'm interested in finding. I don't know, Tid, you've been through the desert. Have you seen any temples that would seem like a shrine to the storm or desert storm element?
I'm not sure I know exactly what the Desert Storm element is. Do I know what the Desert Storm element is?
Go
I know
ahead and make
stuff.
for me an intelligence roll, please.
You got it.
Nope.
That would be a 7.
Oh, fiddly dee potatoes.
You have no idea what he's getting at.
Would I, well, let's see. I'm not sure how much exploration I've done in the desert. Probably not a ton. Would I know of any, shrines or temples or anything in there, or at least heard anything?
The temples in the desert down towards the south, they are numerous but difficult to find, as there's no real landmarks or anything like that. And within the shifting sands, it can be difficult to kind of pin these out. Sometimes new ones are kind of discovered and then swept up in the sand and disappear, that kind of thing. So it's really the last place you want to be looking for anything.
Yeah. Alright. Well, to be honest, Arillo, I'm not sure even what the storm thing that you mentioned is, but
Storm Shrine.
Storm Shrine. I've heard of plenty of temples and shrines in the desert, but it's a fickle beast and is as likely to eat them up as it is to expose them.
While this is
Sure.
happening, you see like a large roasted chicken is being just like put down beside him, and then another one on the other side of him. There you go.
Thank you kindly. Thank you
Ah.
kindly.
Is insane. Now, as I was saying,
I'm gonna rip off a drumstick and start munching on it.
Okay.
now I did, as you're well aware, I did promise to help you find this these shrines that you're looking for. So, if you say that there's one in the desert that you need to, that would help you with whatever it is you do.
Would help me master another element.
Be more than happy to search around, because though I've made it seem like I've have these great conversations with my patron, he is a bit sporadic in his communication, so there's no guarantee that even tonight, when I try and speak to him, he'll be that willing to talk. So that'll give us some time and maybe something to do while I wait for his input.
You do realize there's more than one desert in the world. There's the Great
That is
Deserts
true.
on other continents, I suppose. There's no guarantee we'll find one near Siba.
But if we're looking for information, then Siba's probably the best place to start.
Probably.
Indeed.
Like I said, if we're crossing to get to Horus Ren, unless we get a boat from Elos, we're gonna have to go through Seba anyways.
Mhm.
I haven't heard of many people crossing a desert that wide without serious experience under their belt.
I have no opposition to that. It's more adventure. Plenty of things
Another
to
door.
discover on the way.
Right, this is all good. How are we going to pay for this adventure?
I don't have a problem on my end.
I mean, I've got a little save, but if I have to feed Kalik too.
There's a man eating 2 fucking chickens on the other side of the table.
Not sharing any of it, destroying it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
I'm
Goliath's
chowing
gotta
down on
eat.
my stew, like right next to him, just kind of patting the corners of my mouth with the napkin as I use it to keep the beard clean.
Meanwhile, I'm holding like the entire chicken there, and I'm just biting out of it like it's a burger.
Not my problem.
Bones and everything?
Oh no, I'm not. I don't eat the bones. I use those as toothpicks, so I remove those.
It's a Goliath thing.
I'm
Well-
totally used to this. We've been hanging out for a little while now.
Yeah, he watched me eat some gnarly shit.
So, if that's our plan, despite barring any, well, I mean, I'm not opposed to maybe trying to see if we can find some work to maybe fill the coffers a little bit, though. Especially if, like I said, there's no contact.
The faithful are usually provided food and lodging. If we're active, we could just look for temples that have been corrupted. I mean, if there might be a theme going on that we can investigate, although seems a little cheesy now that I say it.
Well, to be honest, I'm just along for the ride. Annie's here, the one who wants to go on an adventure, and I'm just an accessory, I suppose.
But think of all the libraries we'll get to check out.
Oh, now that does spark
That's-
my interest.
That's a prospect right there.
As my first little practical joke, I'd like to tilt the table towards me and like above Kalik. And and I'll just kind of whisper to Arilla. Fuck, he's getting a little excited. I'll plop
too
the table
busy
back down. I'll plop the table back down just slightly, just like a nice little rise.
I'm just enjoying my chickens.
And I'll go back to dabbing in my stew all politely and spooning away from myself, you know, proper noble etiquette.
Pinky out.
No pinky out, that's cool.
Not that fancy. Okay. So you guys go and sit there in the tavern and eat for a little bit and talk over the plan. It seems that there's a place of interest, but it's quite far away, and stopping along the way might be a good idea. Maybe this is a trip to be had over the course of multiple trips. But regardless of that, there are some troubles. There's a bit of vagary, as well as perhaps some monetary problems on some ends, as well as the chance of death along the way. You guys evidently have some things to work out. The afternoon here seems to be pretty tame. There's a couple of people eating here and there, and you guys would have plenty of time to discuss things in the tavern for getting ready.
Has Jem been here the whole time? Just waiting?
Yeah, during the talk, he's just been seated there.
Edgar. I'll whisper to him. Your quote-unquote babysitter, he seems awfully fond of you. Is there what's the whole dynamic here? Just seems a little bizarre.
He's paid to be fond of me, and I'll give him Kalik like a super uncomfortable wink.
What kind of
Oh.
uncomfortable?
Don't worry about it.
Uh-oh.
I just want to see Kalik's reaction because he doesn't seem like a very well-traveled person.
I'll sit there and think a second, and then I'll be like, "Oh, he's actually your babysitter then." I'm sorry, I didn't know.
I'll just let that hang and keep drawing on my map.
The sound of meat is torn from a chicken leg. Amidst the dead silence in this corner of the room.
Right. So you need to find work to get money to go on an adventure to find temples and books. Is that correct?
I get up and I start walking towards Jem.
That's the
Alright,
long and
just
short
ignore
of it.
me. I see how it is.
You can move yourself wherever you want to be. Huh. Edgar.
I'll slip him a piece of paper, the map I was drawing.
Hmm.
They're making some weird noises over there.
Well, it's simply that there's quite the distance you've laid out here. I know these places. Got certainly quite a few days' walk ahead of you. Not longer.
most likely longer. We're gonna figure out if we go by ship or on foot, but that should be the general gist of it.
An errand you won't discuss. Does your trip, by the way, end with Woj there? On the
You
paper?
asking me, or is he asking me?
No, because you gave him the paper, and it's like, it's the map, and you've listed locations you're going to, right?
Yeah, so it does end with Woj, yeah.
Okay. My. I don't suppose you could tell me what takes you all the way to a dead civilization.
Yeah, sure. The temple we just cleared out, the so-called Temple of Despair, as the cryptic locals call it. Whatever I did in there was good. It felt good. So these guys are giving me an opportunity to keep doing that, and I'll follow that opportunity wherever it is. In this case, it seems to be in, and I'll kind of point towards the paper on Woj. Look, I'm not trying to be intentionally elusive. You asked me where I was going. I'm giving you a few possibilities, a few milestones that we'll be hitting.
No,
Trying to be
this is
as
plenty.
helpful as possible, I guess. But, and I look at almost intimidating to a certain extent, just trying to be very stern. I'll look at Jem, and I'll wait for him to make eye contact with me. And
He
I'll
looks
look at
over.
this whole cleansing of temples thing stays between you and I. Understood?
He pauses for a second, and a smirk gradually forms on his face. And he says, "Are you trying to intimidate me, Edgar?"
Figured my frame would do that for me, but like I said, share the roadmap with the old man if you must. Content of my little quest, as it seems you're calling it.
Goodness.
Just
I see
right
no
on.
need to tell him exactly where you're going. I mean, when you move to Seba, I shall report that you are in Seba. And Orisren, I shall report that you're in Orisren. We'll play things by ear.
Like I said, don't tell him it's, dare I say, spiritual in nature. Let him know I'm doing some work and things I must do, I guess.
Far be it for me to step into family matters, but I'm sure that your family is quite fond of you, Edgar, and I hope that you don't run into anything that you can't handle along the way. Necromancy, the Empire, old ruins.
I just shrug my shoulders like, it's probably gonna happen. Like you said, you're just there to jot the location and pick up my corpse, right? What do you care?
That is the gist of it, isn't it? Grim times we live in. He kind of, looks around the tavern room, staring at, a commoner eating a piece of bread in the corner and whatnot, and then turns back to you.
My friend, it's only Grim and Elos.
There is very little that goes on here. At least, on the land. The ships in the bay, however, if you're looking for some fun, a good place to start.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. And I'll just kind of give him a tap on the back and I'll head back towards the group, leaving the paper there.
Be safe out there, Edgar.
Uh-huh.
He gives you a bit of an odd look, and then folds up the paper and, finishes his drink and steps out.
I'll down my stew and start chowing down on this dessert here.
Okay. You guys would see that after a talk at the bar there, Jem would leave. Do you guys have a talk while Edgar is out of earshot, or just kind of continue eating?
Just continue eating, probably.
Okay. Edgar, you get back to the table and people are mowing through their food.
As am I.
Is
He's
it just
already
like
on my second
late
chicken.
afternoon at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'd as I start to get to the bottom of that bowl, I'd probably say to Kalik, I'd be like, "Hey, it seems we've got a bit of a time this afternoon, and I've got an interesting ability here that I can read pretty much anything. So, if you'd like, there are any books that you've kind of been itching to crack the spine of, but never been able to read because due to language barriers, I could help you out with that."
Well, I would say normally I would have several books, but normally I would have several books, but unfortunately my abode has but burnt to the ground. I'm
Just
sorry.
like the
I mean,
potatoes in the kitchen.
if you would
she
like to do
sounded like
some,
an old Jewish mother there.
Kana!
oh my god. If you'd like to do some poking around the, I suppose the burnt ruins of my home.
I don't need to dredge up old memories, but if there's anything that's from the library that maybe piqued your interest at some point, it's just an option.
Nothing
You
that's
helped me
piqued
out
my
earlier,
interest.
so I thought maybe there was something that you had always been interested in that maybe I could help you out with.
Sorry.
If not, then not. I've got other things that I can do. Just throwing it out there.
Nothing ringing a bell. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
Silence.
Well, it seems that we've pretty much got a plan. Well, no, it doesn't seem that we've got a plan. We've got an idea of what we're going to do, but let me see if I can get a hold of the librarian and see if I can get us a little more of a direction. Otherwise,
I do have one question, Tidge. Seeing as this is an expedition, like a business you're running, kind of, more or less, maybe not, I'm not sure. Do you draw up a contract, like, of an agreement within the party and parameters and whatnot, what we can and can't do, or are you just more of a, how do I put this?
Sack of shit.
I don't know. It sounds like you've been through, not been through. You've been with, I suppose, a couple parties before.
I've only ever told you of the one. Like I said, I've only been with one party before.
Oh, I'm sure.
Can I insight check that?
Please do.
He threw me off with this whole like talking to a person that might not
Ooh.
exist thing. So disco funk. Insight +4. That's 23.
I don't know. Does that beat a 10?
When he says that this is the only one, you get the feeling that there might be something else going on here. You might not be expeditionary party number 2.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, do you have papers, an agreement, an agreement to share, like, treasures or whatnot? I'm not really very well versed when it comes to adventures, so I'm just...
Not really. I mean, I tried to be pretty easygoing, but I mean, the only stipulation with this one would be that the end goal of my current quest here, this tome, is solely mine to retrieve for the librarian. Any spoils that may come unintended or so, whatever, may be
Right.
divided between anybody.
I don't know.
Thank
I would
God.
I'd be more comfortable if you notarized this and we signed off on it. I
Would
don't know.
you?
Yes.
All right. Well, I may need to take a little bit of time to draft up, perhaps, a document tying you to service, I guess. Or oh, I see what you're saying, so that you have it in writing. That sure, give me a little bit of time, and I'll draft something up.
By the way, being a paladin of Metri, Edgar, I'd say that you would be able to draw up a document like this with ease, if you want to. You would be familiar with at least like very basic legal documents and stuff, because that's part of his domain.
I could help you guys with that if you'd like. Tidge, you seem a little all over the place. I could make it a bit clearer.
Whatever would give you that impression.
There's like a piece of
I
stew
seem
in
like
his
I had
hair.
an idea.
I'll just kind of give him the nod, like, right. And I'll just take some parchment out and my quill, and I'll draft up a document.
Okay.
And I'll look up to Tidge and say, what percentage of the spoils would you like to give him?
I would say perhaps as far as any spoils other than the tome, obviously, would be free to split up evenly throughout everyone. I really have no. You've all signed on with no guarantee of pay, so whatever you take. I'm not really in it for the gold. I'm in it for the adventure, the knowledge to be gained, and obviously this tome for the librarian. So
we've gone from evenly split to whatever you can take. Is there something in between that you'd like to write down, or?
No, I've thought that I was evenly split would be.
I'll look
I would go with
to Kalik.
I don't know. This is my first rodeo. I'm not familiar with how things work.
This is my company, so yes, these are my terms. Since I was asked to write it up, but evenly split. Any spoils aside from the tome, which is solely mine, to be given over to. That's it. Any spoils therefore.
I'm just ignoring him as I'm writing.
You're drawing like a smiley face.
Doodling in the corner.
Yeah, some little
so I'll
trees,
make
some
it-
happy clouds.
I'll make it specifically between Tidge and Kalik. It won't be like a general document.
Okay, sure.
And I'll make it where the spoils will be evenly split. The hired party will not touch or attempt to acquire or take the book out of the Temple of Woj or wherever it may be from Tidge, blah, 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 signed both parties, and then dated underneath. And then I'll put my kind of signet in wax again as a stamp of underneath, kind of like a noble notary, I guess.
Mhm.
And I'll hand it off to both of them to sign.
Now, there's one last thing. As a paladin of Metri, you would know that both paladins, priests, and just followers alike do this kind of work very often, and are usually called forth whenever documents and trade deals are being drawn up. There's a customary prayer at the end that would usually be said, which is like a prayer that binds people to the terms. Would you actually say this? Would you do this little prayer before handing the paper to them?
I guess invoking Metri for a binding contract wouldn't infringe on my oath as a paladin in
Not
any
at
way,
all.
shape, or like.
Unless Metri hates you.
Right. Which, I mean, I haven't been smote down into oblivion, so maybe he doesn't.
Playing hot
I'll-
and fast.
I'll say the prayer, but
Okay.
before I do, I'll look to Tidge and Kalik, and I'll say, look, you're having a follower of Metri draft this contract, and I'll look at both of them very seriously, especially Kalik. To sign this, you're bound, under the supervision of my God, to follow every single letter on this contract. Do you agree?
To the best of my ability, I suppose.
That's not what the contract says. Do you agree?
Can we make an amendment
Sure. What's the amendment?
if things become too dangerous? That we can opt out.
Well, keep in mind this contract is only regarding spoils should you follow Tidge, and
Oh yeah, of course.
there's no obligation to follow him anywhere within the contract. It's simply should you follow him, a divvying up of the spoils as well as a clear stipulation saying that you should not take the book for your own.
Oh, fair enough.
You
Hand over the
agree?
quill. Yes.
Okay, I'll say the prayer. I'll
Okay.
kind of find the agreement, and then I'll have them sign it.
So you see Edgar turns there. He gets both of your signatures and holds the thing, and before he stamps it in wax, he says, before Metri, the god of law, you two parties are hereby bound. Woe be to any who may break the terms of this contract. And I'd like you to make a wisdom roll, please, Edgar.
Where are you at, Disco Funk? Actually, I'm going to use Chitlin 4 because I don't want to abuse Disco Funk.
Maybe you should have abused Disco Funk.
I shouldn't. It needs to charge. That's a 6.
Okay.
It's a 6.
So, you finish this and hand the paper over, and sometimes you can feel like Metri's power working through you, and he's been remarkably absent in the last while, and it's just kind of a reminder that you really need to get your, for lack of a better term, your shit sorted together, and you hand the thing over to them and finish the rites properly, and you guys now have a proper legal document that basically says the two of you will have to receive equal share from whatever loot is found, and if one of you breaks it, there's a god watching you.
First of all, I did not know being a paladin in Metro would make me an official notary, and I love it.
Yep.
That's gonna be amazing. Like, oh man, I feel like we're gonna.
Are you just gonna
Using
ask
that a
for
lot.
everything in writing?
Yep, of course.
Awesome.
Like, oh, what's this book here?
Kalik, do you have an agreement like this in writing? As far as this, Annie has to pay for or buy all your food. That might be a good idea.
Oh shit.
I mean,
Edgar,
shite.
we I might need you to notarize something else a bit later.
I'm not signing it.
No, you already verbally agreed. You
I didn't sign anything.
you agreed.
Could you...
Now that I know paper means more than your words, I'm not signing it. Buy your own food.
No.
Look, if she doesn't want to sign it, she doesn't want to sign it. And also, the first one's free. After that, you kind of have to start paying.
Everybody gets one.
All right. Well, what are we doing? We're going down to Oris Ren. Is that the plan?
I suppose so.
Tentatively, yes.
Now, Rillo mentioned something about the desert of Baccarai. So I guess what we can do is follow the mountain range. Arillo knows this one best. We head to Seba. We look at the library there, maybe the locals, Rillo. If he's going to guide us through the mountains, I don't mind taking over to help him out in this. And then head off to Oris afterward, right?
I think that's our best bet, because otherwise we'll probably be paying a bit to take a ship down to Oris Ren. So
Well,
that was the path that I was planning on.
keep in mind, whatever we pay in gold's waiting in danger. So,
True.
and Jem did mention that there's quite a bit of fun down at the docks, although kind of makes me think it's best to avoid that at this point.
Orillo, how do you feel about guiding us through the mountains?
I can definitely do that.
How are you going to do on food? Last time we were hunting, you simply looked at the thing as it ran away, so...
Well, if you remember, I bought quite a few rations, and I still have quite a few left. Still have 20... Let me take a look in my bag here. I've got roughly 27 days of rations left.
I like to
We
think he's
can-
leaning back and the table's like pressed against his belly. 2 chicken rib cages there. Table talk. What is the total ration count for the group put together here? Maybe that would be a good thing to have.
I have 3.
3.
Nice city.
Now, assuming that there aren't any hang-ups, and you go traveling through the mountains at a normal pace, which is almost guaranteed not to happen given that it's the mountains, you know, even with a guide, you're going to be moving slow.
I don't have any.
Travel from here to Seba would probably take about 8 to 10 days. Optimal conditions.
So let's say 15 to 20.
Yeah. So, if you wanted to take maybe a boat over there, you could be looking at a few days, right? But that would obviously cost more than walking. If you wanted to go by road, that would probably run you about the same amount of time, given that you would save time on the road, but it would have different troubles. Might take slightly longer, actually, than just going straight through the mountains.
Right, so Arillo brings up a good point about the food. Look, I have no problem chartering myself a passage to Seba. Could be faster.
It'll almost undoubtedly be faster.
Well,
I mean, there's no harm in going to see how much it would cost. Might as well have all our options.
I agree.
Why don't you guys... I've got some things I need to take care of. Why don't you guys go down and see how much it might cost to ferry 5 people down to Seba.
I think Arillo counts for 2, but yeah, we can go check it out.
Okay.
Okay, so is
don't
the group
people
splitting
get
up?
sick on the water?
Depends. Some people do, some people don't.
Would I get sick on the water?
Just lie down on the deck.
Worst case, you have the ocean as a garbage pail if you need to throw up, so.
How do you feel about swaying back and forth a lot?
A sex joke?
I'm not quite
Perhaps.
sure how that feels, so I don't know.
Well then, how will you know if you get sick on the ocean if you never try?
I can try.
Plus, who's to say we're going that way? We're just getting information right now. All right, like I said, I've got some things to take care of, so I'll meet you back here. Why don't we plan on either meeting back here tonight or tomorrow morning for breakfast?
Sure, I'll head down to the docks.
Okay.
Maybe I can run into Jem and get an idea of who best to talk to for the best price. He seems to be pretty well rooted here, so.
So Edgar's
mind if-
headed off to the docks. Is anybody going with him?
I would like to tag along
Okay.
because this whole adventuring thing is a novelty.
Okay. Anybody else?
I suppose I'll go along with them.
Yeah, wherever, I guess. Gotta keep an eye on Kalik.
Okay. Tidge, you're gonna try and contact the librarian, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. Do you pay for a room here to do that, or are you going into an alleyway, or what's up?
Sure, I'll pay for a room. He hasn't really indicated where he would prefer to be anyway, so
Okay.
depending on how much it would cost anyways.
So a silver piece.
Okay, yeah, I'll buy a room.
So you pay that, and that gets you the room, at least for the evening. And stepping into one of these rooms, you go ahead and... How are you going to entreat the librarian, given that you're probably going to finish that before these guys get to the water?
Yeah, so I'll just librarian, I'm a little... I don't think I'm terribly concerned, but I spoke with her. It seems like past incarnation of you, or maybe a former, your predecessor. And unfortunately, he's passed from this world. But I need a little guidance here, because I'm not exactly sure which way I need to go to find this tome. I know it exists. I saw evidence of it, but I don't know where it is or who might be possessing it at the moment.
I would like you to make a luck check, please.
Come on.
Since you're made of 20s today.
Not great. 11.
11. Okay. You pause there and go ahead and call towards your patron. And I can't remember. We talked about your patron towards the beginning of the campaign, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Did you want him to be somebody who's pretty involved with you, or do you want him to be somebody that's more on the sidelines?
A decent amount of involvement, I would
Okay.
say. He doesn't have to be there every day, but
So I would say that you know the librarian has a few followers, and he tends to them. But at this time, as you call for him in solace there, after a moment, you feel a slow sort of warmth that makes its way into the room. And gradually, one of the window panes there kind of shudders, and the door for a very brief moment quakes, and a voice speaks in the room here. And as it does so, it sounds external for a moment, and then almost feels like it moves into your mind. And speaking towards you, you hear the librarian, who begins saying, "So you didn't find it then?"
no, fortunately. Like I said, I found some evidence of it, but something has it. Somebody got there before I was able to.
Tidge, I needn't remind you that I can send somebody else for this thing.
I don't think that's necessary. I'm fully committed to getting this done, but I have a bit of a lead.
Are you fully committed to getting this done? Table talk?
Yeah, 100%.
He'll say to you
Like-
then, I sense this within you. Perhaps...
Does the Temple of Woj mean anything to you?
Temple of...
Or Ruins of Woj, excuse me.
I know of it. An old civilization, no longer around.
Now, I mean, our contact is fairly new, so I didn't realize you came from. Are you a new incarnation of former librarians? Is this like a mantle that you take up?
The torch was passed to me, but I am my own.
That was pretty much what I understood from the former, the one that I met.
I knew my predecessor. He was a good man, very, very powerful, though his time, as with all creatures, eventually came to an end. He sealed himself away, and I took up the practice.
Do you know anything of perhaps his enemies, or anywhere that I might be? Do you think that some of these libraries I intend to hit along the way down to Woj might have any information on who might have been against him? We encountered a demonic presence in his temple.
Before I tell you more, I want to know this demonic presence.
The most that I could glean from him was that he had some necromantic powers, and I believe they were followers of that previous librarian that he had reanimated, and we found this symbol carved into the skull, and I will kind of draw it out on a piece of paper.
Oh, interesting.
Now, we've connected this to Woj as some sort of incomplete spell, but I mean, and he mentioned something about a master, so he wasn't the actual like big bad as I understand it. He didn't have the tome, but It could be in the hands of his master or some sort of courier bringing it to him.
It's midday, and beyond the pane of glass, the sun falls into the alleyway, which is sort of exterior from your little tavern room. And things noticeably darken, almost as though a cloud overhead blocks the sun. But even the room itself seems to take on a more dark appearance. It's not merely the light from outside being blocked. The voice continues, but your librarian seems to grow very dire in his speech, and he says, "This symbol is not a good sign, Tidge. It's part of a spell. Are you busy? You must be committed. I sense it. You are to put away whatever other misgivings you may have. What other quests you currently have must be put on the shelf. Do you understand?
I do.
The spell is a binding spell, and it has been locked away in multiple pages throughout history and kept fragmented purposefully. The people of Woj discovered it. Not even I know how to complete the spell. It's an agreement amongst librarians that we will take the pieces of it and place it in the different corners of the world. If what you say is true, somebody at some point in the past has managed to get part of this spell.
That could be the, well, to be honest, I'm not really sure what the, I would imagine that if they already have this part that came from Woj, that might be a dead end. Unless they're using that as somewhat of a home base. I wouldn't want to break any sort of, I can't, the word escapes me at the moment, but,
Tidge, you must concentrate.
yes.
Could be much at stake here.
Perhaps they're seeking out another portion of this spell, and
It's likely.
maybe I don't think that if what you say is true, which I don't have any reason not to believe you, I think maybe my idea or my time is better suited finding one of these other locations and seeing if this presence or individual is there.
I can reveal to you another temple my predecessor's lays. I have no cause to believe that something has gone wrong. Now that you've shown me this, I request that you make haste there. I have a few disciples across the lands, though most of them are busy outside of Skyfall. Not be able to help you. Be on your own. Understand this.
I do. I have allies though, and I trust them.
Tidge, I want you to know that if you can complete this and stay true, your family will be safe, and I will continue to watch over your father in his illness. You needn't worry about that. I will give you whatever time you need, so long as you get to the bottom of this, and don't tally for too long on anything that is unrelated.
I shan't. As you said, this is of utmost importance.
Very well. This spell, well, it's ancient. But if you recovered something from the Temple of Despair, it's taken apart. I will have to consult my books. There's much that I must look at. I want you to take your group. Woj will likely have clues, but I'm not certain if it's the place to go. I will show you here, on your map, a temple that you can seek out. Verify whether or not it is safe or not. But something gives me a bad feeling about this.
I share your discomfort, I'm sure.
I
But-
sense you've been traveling with a few others. One is a godly man, but the others I don't know much about. Are you certain that they will be suitable for this task? What's at stake is no longer just your family, Titch. There could be much more here at work.
Well, I believe them to be true and help, and that they have their own special abilities that should help me out, but should it come to pass that I have to do this by myself, then I will, despite the danger. Whether I have my party or not, I will go to this temple and I will figure out what's going on.
I'd
That
like you
being
to
said-
make a persuasion roll, please, Tidge.
Sure.
Ooh, persuaded gods.
What the fuck is
Boom.
going on today?
What the fuck?
Dude, like, isn't that like 75% of your rolls nat 20?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
I intend to accomplish this. Yes, for my father's sake, but it seems that a lot more is at stake here than just that. I'm bound to you. We're bound to each other.
There's a place that I'm familiar with. A small archive in a temple within town. Likely know of it. I wish you to seek it out. There is a gift that I have left there for you, for your quest. You will know it when you see it. Now go, and like I said, do not stray from the path. Hopefully, I will be able to tell you more the next time that we talk.
I hope to have good updates.
Keep your wits about you, Tidge. I can sense that you are flustered and there's much going on in your mind. But you must erase what thought is no longer necessary. This is your prime directive. You understand?
I understand completely.
The room lightens noticeably, and you feel the presence leave. And eventually, you kind of come out of this vision here, and you're just kind of kneeling in the floor of a basic tavern room.
All right. I'll let out a large sigh and spend some time pondering that. Is there any sort of little desk in this room?
Yeah, I'd say there's a little desk in there.
Because the other thing I'd like to do is take that small piece of, like, half a feather stone
Okay.
that I took from the other one, and with my tinker's tools, if I can even do this, kind of try and carefully chisel out a hole so that I can run that gold chain from the Temple of Despair through it and almost basically make like an
Okay.
amulet.
Sure. Yeah, you can work on that. It might take a little bit of time, but you start to whittle away at the thing.
Yeah, and then I will pretty much just spend the rest of the day in my room.
Okay. Are you guys chit-chatting at all on the way towards the bay?
I'm not personally.
Oh, actually.
Hell no, he says. Okay. In silence, you guys wander over there, and you find that the dock has a couple of notable features, but there are some things that you would expect which are kind of missing. Now, for those of you who live here, this is no strange occurrence, but the only thing down by the bay is a large, beautiful beach, 2 incredibly hefty guard towers, and a bunch of small boats here and there, which look like just simple rowboats, which have been beached up on the shore. There's plenty of people kind of standing around and talking on the beach, and they are colorful characters. You see merchant garbs, you see people that look like they're ready for war, you see people that look like they might be barbarians from a strange land. All sorts of different people are chatting here on the docks. And when I say docks, again, I mean just a bay. Like, there's no actual pier or like a port building or anything like that. It's just an open bay. Now, this bay has tons of ships in it. And you see small vessels, large vessels, all sorts of different sailing ships and whatnot are there, and they're present. But there's nothing for like a proper docking spot here by the water. Now, I'd like a perception check from you guys. Those of you who aren't Tidge, obviously.
I'm gonna roll the Falco.
Could I actually change what I did? I don't need to do a little segue here.
What happened? Are we okay?
Falco
It's
is
not that
amazing.
exciting this session. It's just not a.
Hey, that's my first. Well, Falco seems to do pretty well for me, so.
Well,
But I've got the entire Star Fox
Oh, nice.
team.
I got something nearly as good.
Nearly as good. A strong 6. Okay. Looking around, you guys notice. Oh, that's not. Okay, a couple of you guys notice very little. Kalik, off in the distance, you see what appears to be that friend, the literal babysitter of your buddy Edgar here, who's chatting with a couple of people over in a group. And you also see him, Aurello, but you notice something about the people that he's talking with. They are definitely not from here. And you can see that just from kind of like the skin's color and their stature and their different clothes, these people don't even look like they belong in Skyfall, necessarily. They're human, but their garb is completely foreign.
Oh, Edgar, look over there.
I'll look up. Okay.
You see Jem talking to a bunch of people that look like they're from a completely different land, maybe even a different plane.
I wonder what he's gotten into now. And I'll kind of double my pace and start walking towards him.
You see one of them looks up, and then after that, Jem turns and sees you approaching as well. Are you guys going along with Edgar, or do you let him walk away?
Oh no, I'm following him.
We're following.
Okay. So following along, you see one of them motions, and Jem says something quickly towards the other group, and then turns and takes a couple steps towards you guys. And he goes, "Ah, Edgar, it's good to see you again. And your friends, of course. A pleasure to see you all. You're missing one, aren't you? The shorter gentleman."
For the time being, but I'm more interested in your friends, Jem. Introduce me.
Oh. Ah.
Oh,
Well, you see, my friends aren't much for introductions. They're very
I'll kind of muscle my way through him and be like, fine, I'll do it for you. Hi, Edgar Lyle.
When you get over there, one of them looks over at you and he just says, "You know this man," and just stares over at Jem, and he goes, "Ah, yes, he is a friend of mine as well. We don't exactly do work together, but he's very curious and likes to meet new people." And he kind of looks towards them, and one of them extends a sort of awkward, almost like robotic, stiff handshake over towards you there, Edgar.
Can I insight check them? Do they seem dangerous?
Sure, roll insight.
Alright, Disco Funk. Nice. Disco Funk. That's a 17.
Now, as far as dangerous goes, these people are armed, and at their sides you can see weapons that are like variations of what you would have. You know, like that guy's got a short sword and that one has a spear with him, but they're sort of different. They don't look like they're from here. And the other one who extends his handshake towards you, he is most certainly doing so purely out of custom and is completely uninterested in shaking your hand and is just, you know, formality, like, this is what you guys do here, you know, shake my hand.
Right. With my 17, can I tell if they're tense, or are they just uncomfortable, or are they just following custom?
They do seem tense.
I'll give him a firm handshake then. Maintain eye contact. Hello?
He shakes your hand. Now, at this point, Jem pipes up as your handshake finishes, and he says, so, Edgar, I was just speaking to some friends here. They have a vessel over there in the bay, and he points to one of them, and it's like an impressive, like, 3-story galley, which probably has, like, hundreds of people on it. And he says, I've secured travel towards a city down south, one along the river. Perhaps you'd like to come with me.
Well, according to our plan, when you say a city downriver, are you referring to Seba?
I am, indeed.
Seems like you were planning to get ahead of me. Well, yeah, absolutely. We're heading down south, and could be good to travel together.
I'll discuss prices with my friends here. It's a part of their custom. Why don't you step away for a moment, and will you be bringing all 5 of your friends with you?
Well, they're all aware that they need to pay for themselves, but if you can secure a rate for them, I'll communicate it with them. Just table talk, excuse me. Would I, just from noble lineage and meeting people, Soulsland, would I have any inkling of where they come from?
Make a
Or
history
do they
check.
seem... Okay. I'm actually proficient in that, because I'm a noble. On a Welfare Wednesday.
Welfare Wednesday!
It charged on a 2, that can't be good.
Just what you'd expect from Welfare Wednesday.
It's a 6 for me.
You do
Not
not
here,
know where they're
Ruby.
from.
Right, yeah. If you're secure some rates, let us know.
I'd like you to roll
And,
insight.
Welfare Wednesday. Not bad. That's a 16.
Jem is pleased to get rid of you. And it shows. He practically shoos you from the group as he then huddles with them and talks.
I'll take him aside a little further away from them, and I'll look at him pretty sternly again. Jem, have you gotten yourself into something?
Oh, you're gonna try and pull him from the group there.
Just a few feet away, and like not far. Just, a slightly out of earshot, and I
He
would
will not
whisper
let
to
you.
him.
And as you go to kind of like motion for him to step away, he looks to you and he says, Edgar, this'll just take a moment, please.
I'll furrow my brow, and I'll look to them, and I'll look back to Jem, and kind of bite my tongue and head back to my group.
Okay. You guys would be close enough to hear most of these words and would probably see this sort of like mild disagreement / rejection go on there. Do you guys say anything as Edgar returns to the group and a group huddle breaks out in the other group?
Nope.
Yeah. Right, that was a little strange.
For the first time ever, I'm gonna agree with you. Was a bit strange. You guys seem to be from Elos. Have you seen anything like those people before?
I've never seen them.
I'll
Then
look to
again, I've been up in the mountains.
I mean, I've been here for a while. Have I?
You can roll history.
Hmm.
Based history, come on.
Wait, where?
17.
You actually have an inkling of where these guys are from, just from their dress, the 1 or 2 times that you've seen them here in the Bay, and the reading that you've done over the years. You think that these are men from Xinjiang, down in the other realm of Vergear. It's quite far away.
They perhaps might be from Xinjiang.
Do I
Very
know
far.
where this is?
You would know
of
of it
a-
on the map, and you know that it is apparently the largest human settlement in existence. But the people there live by very different rules and customs to what is the norm over here.
Huh. Any idea of why they seem like such pricks?
Would I know why they would be here in Helios?
Ah,
It's more of a pilgrimage place rather than a bustling, bustle trade center, if that makes sense.
make an intelligence check, please. Well, I'd say actually you could do history, given all the stuff that you know. Roll another one.
Ah, god fucking damn it. 13.
It's common knowledge that Elos has basically a town full of temples. However, there's another thing that draws people here, which is the fact that its temple grounds have very, very basic rules, and almost anything goes within the city as long as it doesn't bump the church in the wrong way. And so what'll happen is ships from all around will meet in the bay here to do deals that would otherwise be illegal elsewhere. So things like maybe selling slaves or purchasing contraband, the kind of stuff that would potentially get your ship set ablaze in a different port here in Ilos. Church doesn't care as long as you're not causing trouble for them. So the
Then
majority of the weird traffic here, which isn't on pilgrimage, is there for those reasons.
Right. Edgar, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this place. Local law enforcement isn't really a thing. It's more of a church run. As long as you don't rub the church the wrong way, you can kind of get away with a lot, especially here in the port. So there's a lot more shady. If you catch my drift, I don't know. Not really involved, so.
I can kind of tell that you've read more than seen, but yeah, I catch your drift.
At this point, you see Gems approaching, and not only that, the group is going over towards a rowboat.
Look sharp.
Just when I think I'm warming up to you, Jem, you seem to befriend people like that.
Well, it's useful to have friends, is it not? He kind of looks at all the people you're with here.
Yeah, none of them are like that, though.
Who's to say that my friends are better than your friends, or vice versa? Anyway, besides the point, I have secured passage for you and your group. How's that? And he kind of turns to you and smiles.
How much are we talking?
2 gold from each of you.
It's not bad.
Does this include food and water? Or is
Sorry,
it just
madam.
the passage?
No, it doesn't. You'll be responsible for your own food. Just travel. There is another condition. You will have to remain to your quarters during the travel. My friends are not the kind to let people wander about the decks too often. They're very
Alright, so we'll
secretive.
be locked up like prisoners.
I've
during this
been on this
ceremony.
ship before, and I can assure you that the quarters are quite nice.
I looked at Edgar.
I have my brow furrowed here.
Edgar, come now. This is an opportunity, is it not?
I think I'm gonna have to decline, Jem.
Why, just a moment. Back at the bar, you had told me that you were traveling towards Seba, and here it is. Now, I must mention that my friends are expecting you at this point, and it may be a poor choice to decline.
And I'm gonna, in a hushed, kind of surprisingly angry tone, I'll grab his arm and go, Jem, I don't give a shit what your friends' expectations are. Alright? I'm not stepping a foot on that ship or giving gold to people that are doing anything illegal. Do you understand me?
He puts his hands up and he says, nothing illegal, simple transport. 2 gold apiece.
Jem, I'm not buying the shit you're selling. And I kind of turn around and start walking off. And I'll just gesture to the guys like, come on.
Do you guys immediately follow after him, or do you stand there with Jem for a moment?
I'll pause for a moment, like, really awkward, not knowing what to do. Maybe, like, gesture bye, and then walk away.
Bye.
I'm just gonna go with Edgar.
Okay. There's an audible sigh from Jem, and you guys are you all going to follow along? Are you staying behind Annie?
No, I'm following. There's
Okay.
no way she's gonna be comfortable, confined, like a freaking rat.
Okay, you guys turn and walk with Edgar in a different direction there, making some space between you and the group. It's evident that Jem has gone back over towards their rowboat and is speaking with them. You don't know what about, but you guys have now distanced yourself, and a bit further inland, you meet up with Edgar there.
That fucking man.
What did he say, Edgar?
It's not what he said, it's what Tidge said.
Tidge. He wasn't even here.
Sorry, Kalik. Getting used to your names here. Look, between Elos being apparently a hotbed of illegal activity, which I've got to say I've been a bit of a recluse, I wasn't aware of such things, and them being from Xinjiang and me knowing Jem, I'm not giving them their patronage, my patronage, and there's no goddamn way I'm helping them in any way, shape, or form. My presence on that ship is, well, it would go against everything I stand for. If they're doing what I think they're doing. Again, such judgment beforehand is probably ill-advised, but I guess you could say I'm a man of principles more than anything.
Well, I didn't think it could happen either, but I think I agree with you a second time for today.
Apparently it's a day for new things there, Annie.
Loud rap music plays from a ship off in the distance. Muffled rap music, sorry.
California love.
Just drifting.
Anyways, so look, let's convene with Tidge. Actually, you know, we're here. Fuck Jem. Pardon my language, but
You can
let's,
see off in the distance, he's like taking off with that rowboat.
I don't give a fuck. Look, we can do one of two things. We can go back, see what Tidge wants. Personally, I don't mind doing it on foot. If we're gonna do it by boat, let's find an honest man who can take us there. You guys just gonna stand there like robots, or?
Right,
Follow
I'm
your
following
lead.
you.
Alright, wherever you go.
By measure, I didn't think I inspired this much loyalty so quickly. But...
I will follow you.
All right, and kind of awkwardly step away from them as I have these 3 puppies following me in tow.
Okay.
And I'll try to spot someone who's not so wealthy looking, but you know, seems to be trying to call down patrons for work. You know what I mean? Like, my ship's for rent. Come with me, type of thing.
Interesting. Okay. I'd like you to roll luck, please, as you go and look around the different groups. Jesus fucking Christ, what's going on over there?
I'm trying to get rid of them.
What?
You can't drop them off the table. It doesn't work.
Oh, I just dropped a bunch of them.
It's a flat 13. No luck, right? So you don't add anything.
Yeah,
Holy
no
shit,
bonuses to
get rid
luck.
of those middle ones.
Sure, group them together and put them in a pile on the table and I'll
Right.
get rid of them.
Just shake your. You done.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
half of them are down there.
Don't worry, they'll be back.
Oh, don't throw them away. There's okay. There's some. Oh, stop!
Why do you have so
Stop.
many E4s?
I don't know. They just
What the fuck?
ah, messing everything up.
While we're dealing with this, can I change what I had done? Instead of trying to carve out that little stone, could I have made my way to the
No.
what is it? The archive.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because I would have definitely. I mean, he said it was pretty vital, so instead of wasting my time with that, I would have gone there.
Okay, so you're on your way over to the archive.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
we can finish their segue, but
On the
I didn't
beach.
want to interrupt.
Yeah, no worries. You do find that there is somebody who kind of fits the bill. There is a a captain who is offering passage, and it appears that he is headed for Orus Ren. He calls out repeatedly, saying, spots still available. Easy boarding, no questions asked. 10 gold apiece. Orus Ren, 10 gold apiece. And he has the look of somewhere in between, like a proper admiral and a pirate.
Awesome.
10 gold apiece? There's no way. That seems a little bit steep for me. I only have 17. And that's
Well-
funds for the rest of my travels.
17 means you can pay 10 and keep 7.
But I have to pay for a Caelic too, you don't understand.
Does he not have any money?
I
Caleb,
don't
do you
know.
not have any money?
And I go into my pockets and I pull out
The most beautiful pocket lint the world has ever known.
4 silver pieces.
It's fucking Oliver Twist, kind of like, da-da-da-da.
See, I told you, for somebody who had a bookstore, he doesn't really know how to save money.
Well, I'm sorry my investment burned to the ground.
I'm just there kind of dumbfounded.
There's a sailor walking by, and he's like, okay.
4 silver to your name, Caleb?
Yeah, you'd
What?
think it'd be the other way around, wouldn't you?
Hey, no judgment here. I'll look to the pirate. Good sir, how are you?
Doing well, sir. How about you? Traveling down to Orus Ren, looking to hop on?
We are, actually. Anything for a group rate?
Oh, don't know about that. It's gonna have to be a pretty big group for a group rate.
5, how's that?
Maybe swing you a couple gold off. Yeah, he looks over and he immediately stares at you, Annie. I have a question. Is your character attractive?
Well, it depends. Do they think I'm attractive?
Do they like tieflings?
I would say that he does. Like, do you have, like an eye that drifts off and stares into the sunset? Is your skin all right? You know what I'm asking? Are you playing a character who is like pretty plain Jane, or like a bit on the better side of things? Are you playing like a strong 3 out of 10? Like, what's going on?
She's in a tough spot here because she drew herself.
Yeah, I'm like, I look like myself, so
Grade yourself then.
fucking know how hot I am.
You a dime piece?
You would die.
9-piece extra spicy bucket, please. With
Szechuan
biscuits.
sauce.
Oh.
This is a precarious question.
You can take a moment. You can take a
Loaded
moment. It's all right. Here, you know what? You think about that. We'll be in slow motion here with the pirate turning his gaze towards you.
Why don't you take a vote there, Lucian? Why don't you take a vote for your stream?
Getting a little spicy there. Okay, let's go over to the
Zoom in
library for
on
a
my
moment.
Token. Let's do that.
So, meanwhile, traveling through town, you've made it back to the archive. And as you step inside, where are you going?
Let's see. He said he left a gift for me, so let's see. Can I make some sort of like intelligence check or something to see if I can smart enough to figure out what he meant?
Sure.
It's only 13.
You're not sure what it is, but if you had to guess a place that it might be, probably where the books are at the back, given that he's
Yeah.
library.
Yeah, right. So I will go back there and probably go to the tome that, or to the area where I found the ones that kind of mentioned him a little bit. No,
Okay.
it rather the area where we found out information about that original symbol.
Sure. Traveling into this area here, a few of the priests kind of, recognize you from earlier on in the day, and they just kind of give you like a brief nod and go about their business. Some of them seem too buried in their books to really pay any attention. The sound of paper being kind of flitted about and pens scratching on the bits of parchment frantically as people study is basically what fills the air. But as you step forward, time begins to slow for your perception here. And as you're looking around, you can tell that some sort of divine either presence or moment or event is taking place as the colors seem to become like more vivid and bright, and your gaze is drawn over towards what looks like a bookshelf pretty close towards a shrine of RX himself. And there's little shrines like that all over in its temple, obviously. But this bookshelf in particular seems to have something on it. And you see a small silvery object which is completely out of place with all the other books on the bookshelf. After that, the moment that your gaze falls there, it's gone. Time resumes normally, color returns to normal, people are just kind of wandering around, sound comes back to you.
Is that object gone, or is it just I'll approach that bookcase near the shrine.
Sure. You see the object there as you approach. For a moment, you don't really notice it. If it weren't for the vision, you wouldn't have really picked it out. But as you get closer, you realize that on one of the lower shelves, somebody has left a quill. And getting up close, you can see that this one is not a feather quill, but one of the newer ones that people have been using since the advent of some machines and airships and whatnot. People have started using quills which mostly have a reservoir and like a metal tube instead of a pen that's got like a proper feather at the back. And you see one of these just kind of sitting there on its own. And when you look at it, you instantly know that this is the object.
Okay. I will take it.
You can add the librarian's pen to your inventory. And you can feel, when you pick this up and look at it, that there's something magical about the thing. On the face of it, you can see filigree that kind of goes around the pen and would easily mark this as maybe something that like a noble would use or a very wealthy merchant. But you see that the actual name of the pen, like librarian's pen, has been scribbled out here in common. And there's little depictions of his symbols in different spots. You don't know exactly what it does, but just holding it, you know that there's some magic in this.
Okay. I have some ideas.
SpongeBob pencil incoming.
Ah, yeah, actually, I was
It's
gonna...
got a big eraser on the top. Big fun
I'll
eraser.
grab like a loose piece of parchment and just start writing something.
Okay. When you go to scribble about there, it performs completely normal, just like a regular pen. Ink comes out. It's quite nice. It's like a proper pen. It doesn't scratch. Some pens, for instance, will like cut through parchment if they're kind of old and crotchety, or they'll drag uncomfortably. This is very smooth. Just kind of, oh, this is nice. This is what it's like to actually drop a few gold on a proper pen.
Okay.
Now, while you're staring at that over in the library, we'll cut back over towards the beach. I have not got a rating from you, so I would like you to take a 1d10 and motherfucking roll that thing.
Ooh,
Great.
shit.
Ooh.
Can I zoom in?
That's a d12. Or is it a d10?
Where's
No,
my-
that's a
Oh,
d10. That's a d10.
Yeah, it's a
Sorry.
D10.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
Incoming.
Everybody's following it.
Oh, damn!
Oh!
Captain!
She's a timepiece!
Smoke show!
I told her before, 10 out of 10, and she didn't believe me.
So if you're into tieflings, Annabelle is like, God damn! The captain looks over, stares at you for a brief moment, and
Edgar gets a confusing erection. No,
What's that?
no.
Edgar, I'd like you to roll insight, please.
Do you actually?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, thank God. Okay. To the 9.
Okay, you have no idea what's going on here. He looks over for a second, kind of like shakes his head, turns back to you. And he goes, well, is this is your lot here?
And one more, although he barely counts, he's half the size.
Oh, you're bringing one of the half folk with you.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, if you're bringing one of the halfers, how about 45 for the whole group?
Oh, come on, I think you can do better than that. We're pious folk, we won't cause any trouble. And I'll kind of throw some persuasion his way. My charmy charm.
And I'll elbow.
I
him.
would like you to
Give
roll
her
persuasion to convince him
wink.
that your motley crew is not actually going to be any trouble.
Alright, Disco Funk. You know what to do. Oh! Disco Funk!
No, what?
What is
Number
this?
20?
He leans
Yeah.
over to you,
Yep.
and he goes, okay, 40, but that's between you and me. You don't tell the other passengers, alright?
Absolutely. Look, how long are you going to be here?
I don't want to stay too long, just hoping to fill things up. Now with you guys, we can pretty much turn away at any moment, but, money's bleeding.
Look, completely understood. How about I'll go collect Straggler here. We'll come right back within the next couple of hours, and we'll be on our way. We'll have the...
You cut out at the end there.
Oh, sorry.
We'll be on our way, and
we'll have the 40 gold.
okay, I'll be waiting here. Say, your friend, she, seen anybody?
You can ask her. She might have a thing for the other one of her kind there. I don't know.
Damn.
I'll just be like kind of out of my element here, like right. So I'll get going. But Triptora's friend is long. Maybe you guys can get to know each other, become friends.
He's got like a
More.
finger over his mouth. He's like, He's deep in thought. He doesn't even reply. He just kind of nods to you as his response.
Does he lick his hand and slick his hair back?
In his mind, he does.
And your name?
Oh, sorry, I almost forgot. My name is...
Captain
seconds.
Blood. Ludwig.
Wait, did you say blood or wood?
Lud.
Blood?
L-U-D.
He tells you that his name is Captain Sornigan.
You might have to spell that one out. Yeah.
Fancy motherfucker.
Sword and gun.
At your service. And he kind of, leans forward, pulls off his large hat for a brief moment, puts the thing back.
Now, Captain, there is one small prerequisite to our patronage, and that is everything's above board. If you get my drift.
He shakes his head.
As like a no?
Like, what do you mean when you say above board?
Oh, okay. Above board as in, you're not smuggling contraband or anything illegal.
Ah, well, I can't speak to the luggage that people are bringing with them, but I just run passengers, one spot to another. Don't deal in any merchandise myself.
Can I insight check that?
Ah, you certainly can.
Figure, hey, I'm a paladin, I might as well insight.
The fuck? God. Well, he rolled a 3, so you read him like a book. Yeah, he's lying to you. He definitely is not bringing only passengers. He tells you the lie like he's said it a million times, but you see through it pretty fast.
Hmm.
How you want to handle that is up to you.
You know, I think Edgar thinks he might have a slice of redemption in this, Captain, so he's not going to be completely put off by it. All right, Captain, if you say so.
He gives you a smile. Well, I'll see you here soon with the gold.
With the gold. By the way, food, water, we take care of that ourselves, or do you have some basic amenities?
Food's included, though I'll tell you, it's nothing special.
That's fine. All right. Well, and one more thing. One of my friends is a little on the light side in terms of cash. Are you against people working their passage? It'll just be one individual.
Short on cash.
Bills.
You could see he does not like the sound of that when you tell him that one of them will be short on cash. He says, listen, you got the 40 gold or not here?
Captain, look at me. I've got plenty of gold. That's not an issue. But I'd rather not pay for the entire ragtag band if you get my drift. So, if one of them wants to work their passage, is that an option? It's just a yes or no. Worst case, we'll come up with the 40. Not a big deal. And he's a smart guy. Not good with his hands, but if you need him to run books, maps, anything like that.
You see he leans back, and it's like there's something playing before his eyes. You've seen a similar look before Tidge before, when talking about his other expedition. And he kind of like stares off for a brief moment, he looks back and goes, I prefer cash.
All right.
I
Understood.
hope you understand.
Look, it was just a proposal. Worst case, I'll squeeze him for it. I'll just kind of grin as like, obviously that's something I wouldn't do, but just a small joke.
Okay. Yeah, he gives you a smile and goes, good. Well, I'll see you back here soon then.
Sure. I'll go back to the group. All right, well, we have some mostly honest passage if we want it.
Alright.
Did you just grunt, Aurilla, or was that a word?
Oh, for sure.
A stray feather falls out of his mouth.
How much is it?
It's gonna be 40 for the lot of us, but food's included.
It'll save some of these rations that I have for us.
I figure, you know,
It is good call.
comes out to I think 8 apiece.
More or less, yes.
I actually
Feel
think
it.
it's exactly 8 apiece.
Am I feeling sweaty?
I'll just kind of nod at him.
Math for medieval people.
I can do that.
I got that noble education.
Well, 5
What,
8
eight?
is 4 and a 0?
Well, 8 apiece. I've got 4 silver.
Well,
I've got half.
You'll have to come up. No. No, you do not have half. It's, 8 gold
Oh,
apiece. Yeah.
Since when is adventuring so damn expensive? Jesus.
Well, you're extraordinarily poor. So for most, it's not that big of a burden.
Cat's out of the bag.
I can throw 16 into the mix there.
Narilla, that's your call. Anyways, we'll have to go back to see Tidge. He seemed to be kind of in a hurry for some reason on his way out. So see what he's up to and come back here with a plan.
Okay. Now, meanwhile, Tidge, after trying to write on this thing, what would you do next?
I'd take a look at the bookshelf that it came from, see if there might be anything of interest on there.
Oh. Interesting. You see that the section that you're in is a very unassuming one that likely doesn't have anything pertaining to your quest. You see that there's it's like a section on plants, and just next to it, cooking books.
Okay. That doesn't seem very helpful. Let's see. If I had a magical pin, what would I do with it? Could I find a map somewhere? Because he didn't tell me exactly where or at least I didn't write it down, where this temple is.
Sorry, your map would have updated with it.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did show me. So, whereabouts is it?
And do a very quick roll here.
Will it be 50 days away, or will it be 4? That's gotta be good. I was gonna say 3 is the best you can get.
Let's see. The temple would be in a region close to where you're going to. Be right there.
Damn!
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm
So,
gonna
the
name
Mountains
these
of
for
Margon.
ease. The sealed library there. So you know that is one of the other ones in Skyfall, which he believes to still be, sealed and safe and everything. But if his suspicions are correct, then you might find something there.
Okay. Now, is that in the mount? Yeah, it looks like it's in the mountains, right?
Mhm.
Not the hills. Okay, cool. All right. In that case, I will pocket the pen in like the safest pocket I have,
Okay.
and
Your
make my
butt?
way back. Yeah.
A butt pocket.
It's more of a capsule.
And then make my way back to the tavern.
Okay. When you guys go wandering back, leaving the shore and headed for the tavern, you bump into Tidge on the way there, finding him in a road nearby. You're both in the streets at the same time, it seems.
Tidge. How are you?
Ah, I've got some news. I've got some information. We need to make for the mountains of Marcon.
What happened to Woj?
Woj appears to be a dead end.
Says who?
Says the librarian. There is some dire stuff going on that I don't really feel comfortable talking about in the open.
Tidge,
I would.
if I may. We don't have to talk about those dire things, but look, let me just lay something out for the group here. We go to a temple and see a god. Librarian. A librarian admits that torches do pass on from one to the other, but he isn't aware of passing it on to anybody, and he dies. Our best lead is the Temple of Woj, or the Ruins of Woj, whatever they are. And now, spontaneously, the person you've been speaking to tells you to not go there. Look, I have to be honest, I don't know who this librarian is, whether he's legitimate or not, but him taking us away from our only good lead seems, I'll be honest, a bit suspicious.
Well, I understand your suspicions, Edgar, but I am going to the temple in the mountains of Marcon. I am bound to this guy, and I have no reason to doubt that he's who he is, who he says he is.
Can we agree, man to man, that if we run into a dead end in this mountain, that we explore Woj as a source of lead, whether the librarian approves of it or not?
We can, but I have to be absolutely certain that I have to explore this option. I have no other choice there. But should it prove, without beyond the shadow of a doubt, that it is a dead end, we can explore Woj, which is our next strongest lead.
I'll kind of approach him and say, look, I'm turning a new page in life, and I'm going to try this whole trust thing out and see how far it goes. So, look, you seem pretty certain, and I'll be there with you. For me, if it's a temple of any kind, and if he's pointing you in that direction, maybe there's some corruption we can stamp out, which would fulfill my duties. And some, let's say, some things that I promised to myself. So I'll be beside you, but I do want you to at least keep an open mind, because such things have tricked lesser and greater men before.
All right, I will visibly soften a little bit, and I understand your apprehension. It is quite a bit I'm asking here. Now, it is tough to place blind faith in something you haven't seen or heard from before.
You
but-
misunderstand me, friend. Blind faith isn't exactly something I'm unfamiliar with. It's faith in something that shows itself so reliably, with such a vocal voice, that's so involved, that seems unlike the gods that I know. Doesn't make it untrue or inauthentic, but it's just part of me to follow word, follow law, and have a certain healthy amount of skepticism to the best of my abilities. So, like I said, I'm turning a page. I want to explore this option with you, but in exchange, I just ask that, like you said, or like I said rather, and that you keep an open mind, as I will, moving forward.
I shall. Aye.
Okay? And I'll take a step back.
In other news, Edgar told his babysitter to fuck off.
Really?
Yeah.
Somewhere Jem sheds a single tear.
And what prompted this burning?
You're
Well,
asking me or him?
Yeah, I guess you. You would
I'm
know.
saying this in character.
I'm asking you. That's why I'm looking at you.
Right. To be honest, again, part of this whole turning page thing is Jem. I've always had a hard time trusting him. He just runs in a different circle than I do, and that circle seemed to have been taking us right towards an unsavory group. And from Tidge's insight here, or rather Kalix's insight, it seems that they might have been doing something legal. So rather than giving them my patronage, we've secured an alternative route. I'm not saying it's necessarily more legal, but the man strikes me as a good man, and maybe we can talk some sense into him on our way to Oris Ren.
Wait, are we going on the boat? Are we not going on the boat? Because that kind of takes precedence in my mind, whether or not I'm going to have any gold left to do anything.
Well, I mean, it's kind of luck of the draw here, Annie. It seems like this new location is right next to Oris Ren, and rather than taking a boat to Seba, which was Jem's suggestion, we're taking one to an even closer location. It seems to be or from what I know, it's a pretty big city center. Could find some good information in the libraries as well. So, I would say my vote unless we want to walk across a mountain range and a desert and another
I'd
mountain
rather not.
range, is take the ship. And besides, we've managed to get 4 for the price of, or 5 for the price of 4. So,
Shh, you better not say that out loud.
well, I'm not sharing it with anyone other than us.
Well, speed is the most important thing right now. I need to accomplish this as quickly as possible, so
Do you have a
trekking through the
deadline?
mountain. Not necessarily, but the longer I take, the worse things can become.
Well, as my promise in keeping an open mind, if there is not necessarily a time limit, but a sense of urgency, it's got to be important. So this seems like the right thing to do.
Now, how much is it going to cost? Like a gold apiece?
Right. About that. It's going to be 40 gold.
A piece?
No,
Heavy
no,
breathing.
total.
Fuck.
Total. Fortunately, 40 for the 5 of us rather than 50, and food is included. Although Captain was fair and honest in saying that it's not going to be the best, so we might supplement with rations if we see fit.
If sailors don't think it's the best, it might just be wood chips. FYI.
Ooh. Yeah.
Just a gruel, just
Tabletop.
gray oatmeal.
With no water.
Well, that's all well and good, but I find myself a bit short of funds.
Not you two, Jesus Christ. Who's that?
You should have just taken the ship with Jem. Yes, it is.
No.
What a deal. What a steal.
Yeah, I've broken my oath
It's
once.
free
Let's
real
not do it
estate.
twice. Okay. Well, what do you suggest? Because walking is bound to make this librarian of yours pretty irate if we're going to take quadruple the time. So, you guys are going to have to come up with a way to get the funds.
Right, so I said I could pay for Keelan.
Annie, it sounds like you're about 50 yards away.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
I'm sorry. So I said I could pay for Kalik.
Okay.
And Aurello said something about putting in 16 gold, if I do recall.
So he's
I
got
did.
2 shares, you've got 2 shares, I've got myself. Seems like we're okay.
If he doesn't mind sharing, I guess. She looks at you, Aurello.
Arillo, are you comfortable loaning him the funds? Do you want me to sign up a contract for repayment?
You don't need to do that. I can just pay it off.
Besides, by the look of you, you look like you can shake him down if ever. You want him
True.
to pay, or you want him to pay you back. So,
Fair
all
enough.
right.
I'll be indebted to you. Don't worry.
So
That's alright.
we have Arillo paying for Tidge. We have Annie paying for Kalik, and I'll take care of myself graciously. So, I think we're all paid up.
Great.
You're funny. My question is, as soon as we get to port in the next city, we're going to have to find work or something because I have no money, no. And now I'm Russian.
Everybody's Russian.
No!
Dzień dobry, dzień
Suka.
Yeah, okay. So that's
I
all
have some
wanted to say.
family in Arisren. I mean, that is where I hail from, so I may be able to get a little bit of a loan from them, but we've kind of fallen on some tough times.
Worst
So-
case, my name might carry some weight. It'd be a funny thing, loaning from the family coffers in Oris.
Your name.
I can try. Yeah, Lyle. 4 letters. Apparently that means something. When we're in Oris, I'll see if I can schedule an appointment with a clerk at a bank.
Well, let's get to the ship then. We can talk about. We'll have some time to figure this out when we get there, anyways. Or on the way there.
He is eagerly awaiting our coin right now, so might as well head off.
Okay. Are you
Lead
guys
the
going
way.
for the bay?
Hell yeah.
Has
We can
anybody
captain-
forgotten something back here in town? Because you're about to hop onto the ship. This is the last call, boyos.
Let's see. I left the fancy paper on the altar.
Mhm.
Gem is going to Seba instead of Oris, which is hilarious.
Mhm.
I'm good.
I have nothing.
Feeling we're forgetting something extremely important.
Why?
Because our DM is giggling like a schoolgirl.
Yeah,
Hey,
but
I
he's
do
a-
that normally.
He
That's
always
just
He's the maniac. Like you can't take that. Are
He's a-
all of the members of the party here? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we
Everyone's
have
got their backpacks. Everyone's got their gold.
Yep.
What gold?
No
I
one
have
has
my
right.
gold.
Your silver or copper pieces. No one has any horses or animal companions that they're missing.
No, my mouse is on my shoulder.
Weird, but okay.
Bible.
Bible. Bible. Oh,
His name is
Bible.
Fergus.
Okay.
Fergus.
You guys eventually get
Maybe-
over towards the bay, and the captain sees you there, flagging you down. He holds his hand out, waving in your direction. I've got the gold, then.
You're just getting more piratey every time. Yeah, here's
It's just
my
when he's
fair
shouting.
share. Here's my fair share, and I'll drop 8 gold. in his hand.
Yeah, gives it a look. Do you guys give him 40 gold?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Subtract
You-
the needed amounts there.
You and Connor wanted to work on your backstory, and you insisted on covering all the guy.
You gotta start pampering
And
him.
you're screwed. You didn't get it in writing, so now Kalik is just gonna fleece you.
Yeah, Kalik is probably still thinking about how to get that document. Get it in writing so she has to buy food forever. So,
Some
the captain takes the gold, he counts it out, and he gives it a look. Ah, perfect then. Hop into the ship, we'll be off. Don't want to stay in port any longer than I have to.
I'll walk
What's
on.
that supposed to mean?
Ah,
I suppose you're
miss.
short on time.
It means I've got business to attend to elsewhere.
Yeah, you're short on time.
That's exactly it. You're a smart one.
I'm gonna turn to them and I don't believe he's short on time. I just don't think he wants to stay here long.
Well,
That's a pretty good assumption.
I think he's warming up to you, so you could ask him on the way.
You guys
What?
hop onto the boat?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just Annie
Let's
just
go.
standing there.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
He holds out a hand towards you as you're the last one to get on the ship. He's got, like, you know, one leg in the shallows, one leg on the rowboat. And he goes, come on, miss. It's not that bad being on a ship.
I've never been on a ship before. I'm a little nervous.
Oh, you think I have?
Well, if you
You're
need
not
anything,
nervous about
just come and
anything,
find Captain Sornagun here. And he points to himself. He says, and I'll take care of it.
Right.
He pats down for, like, one of the free spots to sit there in the boat, and it's the closest one towards him.
Fucking great. Is Kalik next to me?
What's that?
Is like Kalik right there? Or the
Sure,
rest
yeah,
of
he's on
my
the one
party?
right over.
Oh, okay, good. I'll sit down then.
Okay.
I mean, if he's there, I wouldn't think anything of it.
There's another sailor over at the other end of the ship. The captain gives him a hand motion, goes, all right, boy, let's go. And he starts to pull on the ship, and gradually it drags along the stones of the shore here, and soon you're in the water. And with the rowboat a-going, take off and head for what looks to be a small to medium-sized sailing vessel a little bit further into the bay. Now, traveling over towards this vessel, you pass by a number of different ships, and you guys see all manner of strange stuff. Having lived here in town, you've always seen these ships parked here, but this is your first time, Kalik, actually traveling past them. And I would like all of you guys to make a perception check.
Gem's just hanging off the side of one of the boats.
Okay. A strong 2.
It's half a 20.
Perception.
12.
Perception is
Andy ends up in Calyx passage. Definitely an
making fun of
option. No, I just saw what was in chat.
Oh my god, I wrote that like an hour ago.
Kalik and Edgar, both of you guys notice something. Most of the ships are pretty different in how they look, but as far as inhabitants go, like the people on there, sometimes their clothes are a little different depending on where they're from, but more or less they look like sailors. Taking care of the ropes, moving things back and forth. Some crews are more relaxed, they've anchored, and they're just kind of sitting around and chit-chatting. But you guys pass by one boat, which looks to be about 2 stories large, still quite impressive for this age. And up on its decks you can see a priest that is giving some kind of a sermon towards a group of men that are all standing there in like full armor and are completely equipped, like ready for war. And as the priest is talking to them, you can see that they all like recite some kind of vow, which from all the way over here is pretty much impossible to get. But it's like a platoon getting ready for battle.
That's badass.
Edgar, do you have any reservations about Gem? He mentioned something that caught me off guard. Something about they might not be happy with us for denying them.
I think Jem was just being his old diplomatic self, you know. You try to use your clout to get a discount, and then they think it's a done deal, and then he turns around and annuls it right away. Looks bad on his character. Well, at this point, I'm just thinking Jem's looking out for Jem.
Fair enough.
Passing
And
by. Oh, yeah.
as we're going, like I see the cleric giving the passage.
Mhm.
Under my breath, I'll say a little prayer to Arx and look back at the town that I'm finally actually leaving
Sure.
and probably not coming back to.
Off in the distance here, the small buildings and temples grow smaller, and as you get closer towards this ship here, it dawns on you that, you know, this is it, right? Like, you know, you're not going to be down the road from town. You're going across the world. Soon the rowboat gets over towards the sailing vessel where it is meant to be hooked up. A rope ladder is thrown down by some other sailor types from the upper deck there. And after tying things off, Captain Sornagun stands up, holds onto the rope ladder, and then he motions a hand over towards you there, Annabelle. And he goes, ladies first, of course.
I grab his hand and climb over the deck rail.
Okay. You go up the rope ladder. He looks up the rope ladder for a moment, turns to you, Kalik, and goes, well, get on up there.
I go to grab his hand, expecting the same treatment.
He's already, like, pulled back his hand, but when you, like, extend your hand towards him, he looks at you and goes, what? What's wrong with you, boy?
That's so weird!
Jeez, get up there already. Like I said, I don't have a lot of time here.
I start climbing, really confused.
He turns to the rest of you, well, get on up there.
I just climb up, non-awkwardly.
I scurry up.
Okay. Sooner or later, you guys make your way up, and 2 stories of climbing. You get up. Annabelle, as you're the first one to step onto the deck, you see what looks like a crew that is already prepped for sail here. You don't really know much about sailing, I assume. You don't have proficiency with that, do you?
No.
Okay, so you have no idea what they're doing, but you can see that everybody's in a state where they're kind of, like, waiting. And upon seeing your group get up here, it seems to have sparked something, and movement goes from being, like, people languidly kind of laying about to starting to go and carry things from one place to another. Gradually, Kalik pops up behind you, and then the rest of the group, and then soon the captain and the sailor as well. Well, this is my ship, and you'll be staying below decks. I've got nice quarters for you group. He just kind of looks at you guys for a moment.
Where?
I'll start
Below
walking
deck,
down.
but that doesn't give any direction as to where. It looks like a big ship.
I'll show you, miss. This way. He turns and starts wandering towards what looks like a raised portion of the ship. There you find a door, and he opens this door, and there's a set of stairs going down. And he goes, after you all, please.
I head down into the creepy deck.
Okay.
I head down.
I mean,
as well.
is it creepy or is it nice?
You can see lanterns lit down there, and the ship is one that looks very regal, like something a noble would own, but has kind of fallen on hard times. Like a noble's ship, but it hasn't been cleaned in a while, you know? So there's like, you know, there's bits of dust here and there, and there's like, okay, well, there's like maybe an oil stain from a lantern that might have broken, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Can I keep out just for curiosity? I'd be looking out for maybe like a coat of arms or something. If I recognize that it's a noble ship, I just want to see if it's been like requisitioned or stolen or
Make
whatever.
a perception check.
Oh baby, a triple. 20.
Okay. Being a noble, you are taught about a lot of the other houses. It's hard to keep track of all of them, but you do retain quite a few, and you find what looks like something on the ship which has not been eroded. There is no proper flag that is being flown above the ship, which is what would be common of like a noble's vessel, right? But it seems that somebody has carved into the wood, at least who the original owners were of the ship, and you see a crest that you recognize. And it's clear that this crest has been kind of like defaced and rubbed out. And it's not the only thing here which has suffered that treatment. Multiple parts of the ship seem to have been purposefully messed with. So where there'd be nice filigree, it gets to this point where it's not just a little tiny decoration on the wall, but it gets up to like this big proper display. And there on the display is just like all the wood is messed up. But you notice in the corner a small bit like this which has not been messed up, and from the coat of arms you see what looks like a noble house from Hillcrest that you recognize. And this noble house is... Oh.
That's not good.
This noble house here that you see is one that is held in ill regard, at least by your family. So, you don't remember exactly what it is about them, but they carry a degree of disgrace compared to the other noble houses, and you would know, of course, as a noble, that face and social standing is almost everything, right? That and money, of course.
Okay, so not necessarily enemies, but disgraced.
Yeah, so something is wrong with this noble house. You don't remember off the top of your head. It's not even clear whether or not, you know, maybe the ship was stolen from them, or the pirate is related to them, or, you know, who knows. But that's what it says there. You would also know, you can add this to your notes if it becomes relevant, that noble's last name is... it's House Lonehell, and it's spelled like this.
And Hellcrest is that table talk. It's that isolated town, right?
Yes, though people would consider Hillcrest to be the kind of like the cradle of human civilization here. It's like the big town that most people have in their minds when they think of humanity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a big sprawling thing where there's many like ancient noble families and tons of buildings all over the place. It's pretty impressive.
Okay. Cool.
Now, as you guys get down here, there are plenty of like little open portholes, allowing a bit of sea breeze to come into the lower cabin, so it doesn't actually feel too dingy. And there are lanterns, which go down a long hallway. And when the captain gets down there, he goes, oh, don't mind the smell, there's just some of the other guests. And you can smell there's like, it reeks like tobacco smoke down here. And he kind of points you guys off towards one of the rooms at the back, opens up the door, and you see what looks like a nice set of quarters where rooms are divvied off by basic walls, kind of like cubicles. There's no doors that close them. Almost like bathroom stalls, really, where it's like a, you know, like a bed. There's like a tiny little table, then just a one-side wall, and then another bed and a table, another one-side wall. It appears that this room here can potentially hold 6 people, but he gives this to you guys and goes, "Okay, well, you know, there's the extra one at the back there if you need to use it for storage or something. We normally have meals when the sun is getting up to its peak. You can come up deck and grab something to eat there. My boys will be preparing something. Like I said, though, if you've got your own food, you might just want to keep that." And
How long do you think the journey will be to Oris?
Well, that depends. Travel along the coast is pretty safe. Might take the storm wall, though, if winds pick up. Looking for maybe maybe 6 days travel down to Oris. If we get good winds, though, maybe as few as 3.
Excellent. Well, thank you. You've been very accommodating.
My ship's pretty fast, and thank you all for paying. Anyway, like I said, he kind of looks at the lot of you. If you need anything, you know, just find old Captain Soren a gun. I'm usually up by the wheel there. I've got a place near the back of the hall as well, if you have any questions.
Are we free to move about the ship?
Absolutely. Crew quarters are on the lowest decks, so nothing to be seen there, really. But if you want to talk to some of the other passengers, he kind of just points up and down the hall. He goes, "They're all staying in here. If you're feeling chatty, you know, things get a little manic sometimes on the ship. You know, a little talk here and there is good. Some of them might not want to be disturbed, though. Keep that in mind. Everybody here's different."
I'm sorry. Does looking at the captain, I know you said that he looks like a noble that's fallen on hard times. Does he have a kind of regal? Does he carry himself as a noble, or is it just his attire?
Oh, it's definitely more his attire than how he carries himself, and that much is obvious.
What's
Okay.
his race?
He is a human.
We don't see race in this party. So.
Yeah, okay, so...
My eyes don't even work, actually.
No, right, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Twitch.
Sorry.
I'm just curious.
No,
Weird.
he's human.
I was totally kidding.
He is very
I know.
tanned. You can see that his skin has spent a lot of time in the sun, and he's got like a number of wrinkles here and there. His hair is like kind of long and black and oily, and seems to be like probably about like shoulder length. Just kind of goes off behind his back there. The hat that he wears looks like an admiral's hat, but it's kind of like crumpled in certain places and stained. Like, you know, it's seen better days.
So what you're saying is this, like, middle-aged man is taking a keen eye.
Oh, to your character?
Yeah.
Oh, you can make an insight roll.
I mean, you're the one who rolled the 10.
You could have rolled a
just
1.
You could have just said 2 and be done with it.
And it would have been over with.
Okay, so my insight is... I'm gonna fall off this chair.
Your insight has fallen off the chair?
It's just a plain 9.
Oh, okay.
No,
I
Mom.
would say that you are not the wiser. The captain seems to be, you know, he's kind, but he's kind of, you know, he's a little bit run down and whatnot. But your character is not keen to the fact that he's taken a liking to you. In that way,
Alright.
at least.
Probably, you know, suitable. I don't know, I don't think she would really pay attention to that anyway.
You don't want to bang a ship captain?
Huh.
I mean,
No.
that's moving up in the world.
Take it from the noble here. Edgar puts arm around. Now you play your cards right. Motions his hand out across the horizon. So the captain here, he kind of, he looks like he's ready to go, but he waits to give you guys the last word as his passengers. Do you guys have any questions or want to say anything to him before he heads off?
I'm good for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't have anything.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm gonna get underway. We'll pull up anchor, and we headed for Orisran. Be there anytime soon. Hope you like your quarters. Then he kind of just gives you a nod and heads off and goes back up the steps.
Oh, I'll take the bunk closest to the wall, where they're like the outside of the hull.
Okay.
Just pick one of the two beds there, plop down my bag, and I'll start taking off my armor.
Sure. It feels nice to get this thing off of you. You wear like several pounds of just protective armor all day, and being able to just kind of relax for a moment and take them off is really...
I'm like Goku getting out of the gravity chamber. Yeah!
There's a reference I haven't seen in a while. Jeez. Not since the abridged, I think.
Well, I think that I'd probably follow suit and get some armor.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you guys relax here in the room. Do you guys close the door or anything?
I am still wearing that fucking priest thing. I haven't taken it off yet.
Just a tattered piece of crap robe.
Classic.
Okay. So you guys kind of close the door, get in there, drop some of your armor, leave your packs, choose which beds are yours. They all seem to be identical. None of them are really, that much different from the other. And,
So Arillo is like from his knees down, his legs are just on the bed.
Yeah, this is
Just hear
probably a
us
familiar
like that.
feeling whenever you're in like human lands, where it's just it's either my head's gonna be off the bed or my feet. That's just the reality of things, or I'm sleeping on the floor.
We just hear a
got a
scraping
great
noise as he
idea.
drags the other bed away.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the other bed.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, if you want.
Just
There we
prop
go.
your
I'll
knees
do
up
that.
above the baseboard.
Okay. You find that the bed is bolted into the wall, but you can take the mattress if you want.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, you just go ahead, yank the extra mattress, try and jury-rig things over in your own thing. You guys are, like, disrobing and taking off, like, all that heavy garbage while Aurella's just, like, scraping a mattress across the floor to his other room. There's a bunch of nice little portholes over by the wall, like the exterior wall of the ship. There's 3 of them. They're about maybe, like, 1.5 feet across. And one of them has been left open, and like a breeze kind of comes in, and you can hear the sound of seagulls off in the distance, and the crash of the waves as it sort of crests up on the side of the ship. Now, there's also some other sounds. You can hear that on the other side of the wall, not the one, like if you're entering from the hallway, not the one to the left, which is in the direction of the captain's cabin, but over to the right, there's clearly another group in their quarters, and they are playing games of some sort. You can hear them laughing, the sound of dice landing on the ground, some exclamation. It's clear that, there's other people here on the ship and they're amusing themselves and whatnot.
Well, for now, I'm going to relax. Can I tell which direction they are, like to our left or to our right?
Yeah, so here, I'll give you like a brief...
Draw it out. Come on, Aleutian. Full artist.
Dude, my skills have yet to be matched. I heard that noise.
I didn't do anything.
Oh yeah. It's a shame that you have the flat lines now. It was better when you had to draw straight lines.
Oh, you preferred the fucking piece of shit?
MS Paint, man.
Or you know what?
Uh-oh.
Your guys' room can be done like that. So
There you go!
you got like a thing here, a thing
Makes
there.
Billy 20 times happier.
And Billy's is all fucked. It just kind of.
Beautiful.
That was the carpenter's last day.
Yeah, exactly.
God!
But that's the basic layout. So there's like these 3 cubicles there, and then you've got your, your little windows on the side, and the other rooms you haven't seen into them, but given how ships are made, you can assume that they're kind of identical, and you can place your stuff wherever you want to be. The ones by the door here, we'll say, are slightly. Oh Jesus! What the fuck's going on? I'm not pleased with that.
Rilla goes in the really small one.
I was
Rilla,
like,
that's
well,
your
the
room.
2 big ones were taken, so
Well, of course I took the biggest one. One of the biggest ones.
there we go.
Because that makes sense.
That's
The fuck?
That makes better. Yeah, there we go. So it looks like that.
Proportions. Yeah.
And,
Oh, look at that. Annie taking the one closest to the door so the captain can sneak in at night.
Blech!
there we go. Makes a bit more sense. So, there are curtains that can be drawn in
I
between
was
these
just
spaces
gonna
here
ask
if you
you
want. But it seems that they've kind of been put aside so you guys can see into
And
here.
this room has no mattress.
There's no mattress, yeah. So you've gone and taken that. And there's a door to the one across the hall. It's over here. So it's on this side that you would go upstairs. So that's where the stairs are. And over here, there's another door where the captain had pointed and said that he has his quarters there. So you guys don't actually know what's in there. But it would be over on that side. So that's the rough gist of it. And with you guys settling in there and kind of getting all your stuff stacked away, I think we will end the session there. Congratulations, you're all still alive.
Yay!
Fuck yeah! Holy shit, it's already 11:30.
We're all fucking broke, but we're still alive.
I've got 3
Whoa, whoa,
gold
whoa!
left.
All broke.
All
Relax.
right. 3 of us are broke.
Swagging over
That's
here.
more like it.
Noble swag.
I've been broke since the beginning.
Wait, how much money do you have?
Goliath swag.
Not much. I have 17.
Oh, okay.
I've got 3 gold left.
I thought you
Which-
said you had 30.
No.
4 silver pieces since day 1.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, for Kalik, it's great.
He's
So
got throughout
it's
the
only
entire
got
campaign.
you can't go any lower, pretty much here.
Yep.
It's all looking up from here.
You just wanted that gun. You just wanted it.
So, right before I cut away here and we exit out, I'm curious. Are you guys going to fast travel, or do you kind of want to chit-chat with the people in the ship and stuff?
Oh, I'm 100% chit-chatting. That's me, though. I don't know about you guys.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah, I was wanting to probably see who's on the ship with us.
I want to go play some
Captain.
dice. I want to go check the captain out. I want to question about the noble ship. I want to see if I can redeem his soul. All that good shit.
Okay, we're going to end it there. Thanks to the players. I think you guys did awesome. To the audience, always good to have you. And to the patrons and people with biddies and all that jazz, couldn't do it without you. We will see you tomorrow for the last session of the week. Adios.
Bye.
Yeah, you guys
Give
are
me
poor
the
as
sweet
hell.
biddies.
There were no biddies today.
Oh!
Oh, it's a biddy drought.
I watched like at least 30 ads to get bits though.
I have no idea how it
Christ.
works. The biddies come, the biddies go. Such is the way
Illusion,
of
it's
the
okay.
universe.
My time is worthless.
You hear a vase baker smash in the background. Let's see here. Go ahead and save. Oh, question. Do you guys have
So-
any idea what you want to do for your group's name? Still up in the air?
Didn't we say during session? Wait, Connor did. Welfare Wednesday.
Welfare Wednesday.
Oh, I was.
That
What?
can't be a legit name.
Why not? We're poor as hell.
We're not going to be poor forever. This is a name that transcends time and finances.
Well, in spirit.
Christ. Okay, we'll leave it out there for now. You guys tell me if you come up with anything. But it does make organizing
Like
stuff
full
easier.
service.